or something. You know, a lot of things can happen during a 2-week tournament. During a 2-week tournament, that can, that could just play a factor in trying to keep your mental up. So Martin, really, all these teams, not only do they have to perform on the server, but also make sure that they are staying as tight as possible. And some teams that are here have fortunately been able to do that in the past.
Yeah, and here in the winners bracket, this is the time you want to perform. This is the first time in the double elimination before you go into losers if you don't do well. So, of course, huge factor for that. Let's talk a little bit about, of course, Cerberus and Tyloo did extremely well here. Are they able to kind of push this performance into? Because what we saw at PGS1 was vastly different to what we saw in group stage and winner bracket. The performance and how everyone played, the meta kind of slightly shifted towards more passive play style, more center heavy. So that's really the question. Are they able to adapt to that, and how are they going to fare? That's really my question.
I mean, one of the teams as well that kind of springs to mind here to see how they're going to fare in the winners bracket, where I think maybe they like surpassed expectations in the group stage. Toby, I'll come to you for this one. Is the Expendables.
Yeah.
That second day, 67 points on the board. They were rolling.
They are a team that with every single global opportunity they have had, they have seized everything they could. And they're coming in looking as strong as they have ever been. Even the performance in their own region, they're outshining against a global competition. That is completely unheard of. The age on the team, very young as well. So there's no way to tell how much they'll be able to pull off over the next many years of PUBG.
No, definitely. Beyond that, though, as well, you've got teams like Na'Vi, our current reigning world champions. They did all right, I think, back-to-back days here, to be honest, Matchroom. So what are your expectations here for Na'Vi?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. We all hope that they're going to do phenomenal inside of this. This is a team that we also do know tends to be a little bit slow roll at start. They have a very good strategy, but they also have a very good homework and study session that they can bring into where they can make a lot of very good modifications as things come out. But also, I just want to see them be able to exploit the map in the way that they are so well known for, is they can just come in and given specific circles, they can just navigate it so efficiently.
Toby, one team, not player, team that you think is not gonna make it through to grand final from winners, and why, maybe?
Third on 5. I complimented them throughout our cast yesterday. I loved how they went from being a surprisingly passive team to actually dare a little bit to get things going. I'm just worried that even when they do get things going, regardless of whether they're on the edge or on the center, the competition is too tough for them.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. It is time to get things rolling here for the winners bracket. So, join for more PGS2.
Just getting the cover, I think, is almost better. FaZe says, nah, man, we want to go ahead and get done with what's going on with DK. Blue nades coming out. Gonna go ahead and step into it, running right into the smoke. There is no safety to be had. That is just an absolute amount of aggression coming out from FaZe Clan. They do lose Gustav. Vortex is...
They've actually been doing well as far as their team fights, even though the results haven't been the best. How does that not kill Pace and Sharp? They will survive. It's just up to Pixel now as he flashes out the window, trying to delay this push from Soul.
Rest comes through, Page instantly prones down, starts healing on up. Pixel found with a nail, that's huge because he would have found him in return. So finds the second, finds the third as well, and there he is, the current MVP. To hold the angle, they don't shoot at the guy immediately, they shoot at the guy set up top. So Expendables do, though, allow in both Melman. And one more, but 777 is hit instantly! Finds one with the P90.
The P90 absolutely disgusting up close, and 777 has been a little quiet this game, but he will do so much damage as he finds a second, and that is it! He'll clean up Na'Vi by himself!
Move too aggressively. Petrichor Road just gonna bypass. Are they actually gonna stop there?
Nade!
Gonna step out. The nade's gonna be huge! Whoa! Big play coming out from Kian.
Forcing them to heal and then make a play off of it, but if problems couldn't get any bigger now, here comes the push on forward. We know Pixel likes to put up vehicles in his buildings. We're trying to stay safe, but not gonna happen this round.
Oh,
but look at the double damage! The double damage is stacked.
Oh my goodness!
Pixel falls, but takes down the entire...
So first up, I really want to look at 4AM skins. I really love their color style, the red, white, and black, especially the red. I really think that accentuates sort of their style and their theme. When you see that red on the battlefield, I mean, that's gonna strike fear into your enemies for sure. This is a beautiful skin set. I really like the AK, the way it has the team name on it, the way that you can definitely tell whose team this is when you're carrying that gun. The jacket as well, really beautiful the way that the red is on the arm sleeve, so this skin set is incredible. All right, next up, let's take a look at the Sonic skins. And I gotta start with the AK here. This AK is absolutely gorgeous. The dragon on it, the teal colored dragon, incredible. The Sonic's logo right there in the middle of the gun as well, very beautiful. The jacket's really cool as well with the Sonic's logo right on the chest. Like, you know 100% which team you're supporting with this. The gloves, everything about this is just a phenomenal skin set. Twisted Minds has one of the most unique, awesome looking skin sets. First up, the S1897 shotgun is beautiful. Right there on the pump of the grip, you've got that pink Twisted Minds logo with the blue barrel on top of it. Really, really distinct compared to a lot of the other skins, especially for shotguns. So this is super cool. And then I really want to focus on the pants. I love this neon blue that runs down the pant leg, almost like lightning. Looks super awesome. Can't wait to see these in game. And last but not least is Gen G. Of course, with their classic black and gold theme, along with their mascot, the tiger, across all of their skins. These are absolutely just stunning skins, top to bottom. And really, even though the QBZ is amazing, the pants, the jacket, all absolutely beautiful, I really like the gloves here. The gold on the knuckles, so if you're punching out your opponents at the beginning of the game, they're gonna know it's Gen G coming at you. I really hope you guys enjoyed this in-depth look at the team skins. The teams and the players put so much thought and time into these, and we really hope that the fans enjoy them as well. We really appreciate all the support from the PUBG esports fans, and we really hope that you guys support and like these 4 global partner team skin lines. They're so awesome. We really hope you check them out. And of course, a portion of all the proceeds will go to the teams themselves. So you're able to support those teams directly, which is awesome. I really hope you guys are enjoying PGS2, and I hope you're hyped as heck for the grand finals. I know I am, so I can't wait to see you guys out there. That's gonna do it for me, guys. I'm Paper Thin. I really hope you enjoyed this segment, and I hope you enjoyed the Global Partner Team Team Edition skins. You can get them now, so go out and get them, and we'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the winners bracket. I am very excited to get us down to business here. 8 of these teams will be moving on into that grand final. My name is Kyle Laris here, so joining you at the desk. With me is Avenger as well. Mate, I am hyped. I am pumped. We have 16 excellent teams duking it out, going head to head for those 8 spots.
Yeah, of course, in the group stage, it's all about getting into the top 16. It's all about getting here in the winners bracket. And now it's going to change, like shift gears a little bit, because it's going to be a little bit harder. We're going to see teams try hard quite significantly more, and we're going to see them not go as crazy as we saw some of the plays in the group stage, because teams are obviously comfortably in the top 16. They're going to do some funny stuff.
Let's take a look at the schedule then. The group stage has concluded. Now we find ourselves in the winners bracket. If you're unsuccessful to get to the grand finals, you will go down to that lower bracket. And of course, we have a day off to get everybody prepared. Avenger, get good to go into that final, because those 3 days, they're going to be intense.
They are, for sure. And of course, it's all about the prize pool here. $2 million on the line, James.
Yeah.
Remember, it's $500,000 at PGS1, so we're quadrupling the prize pool.
You could buy at least 10 family buckets at KFC for $2 million in total.
Minimum.
Easy, no problem. But let's take a look at the format as well. As we've kind of alluded to already here, we have our winners bracket and losers bracket that's going to be ongoing over the next couple of days, and 16 teams will find themselves in the grand final later on, which will be those 16 teams vying for the championship down the line to call themselves PGS2 champions. Will it be 17 who already has a championship from PGS on the board when it came to PGS1? They are one of our global partner teams here. As you can see, the separation, the spread. But we've already narrowed it down to 16 teams for our winners bracket here, Martin.
We have indeed. And it's been, I mean, there's a little bit of surprises, but there's a lot of expected teams that, you know, you're expecting to see in the winners bracket. You know, 12, 13, 14 teams to and really high hopes for, and they're going in there.
I must say, whilst we take a look at our winners bracket participants, who are you surprised by being able to make it to the winners bracket to start things off?
Who am I most surprised by? Probably D+.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any particular reasons?
Oh, you asked for a team, so I just answered the team. You know, we gotta go Spitfire. No,
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, compared to what we've seen them do and so forth, it's. I didn't expect them to have such a decent performance to kind of be significantly up there and be safe in there.
I think they're a slow and steady team. Is how I look at them here. And the road to PGC is also very, very important with the points that these teams are able to garner. Already that you can see here, 17 has been able to accrue 200 points from taking first place at PGS1. Ascend, 120 points. They are not here, though. So they, to a degree, might be watching with bated breath, but that's actually quite a lot of points to get a second.
Tianva's not here either, right? So they can't really take them over. So the really question is, the big question is, does Danoa, Söstermans, and Cerberus take them over? Because that's the top four as we're going for. Power, while we look at the power rank, let's continue to talk about the teams.
There's so much to talk about.
Spitfire, there's so much to talk about.
That's right.
And if you look at the power ranking, Twisted Minds not in the winners bracket, but they're second in the power ranking, right? So it really comes down to how well we were able to fare through the group stage.
I mean, it also shows that the power ranking is not everything, because 4AM did not make winners bracket just yet. However, we have seen as teams have been able to come back from losers bracket to be able to make championships, aka 17 from last year. Sorry, not last year, last tournament as a whole. So you see here in terms of our power rankings as well. Again, I kind of questioned some of these little things a little bit, but when it comes to the players to watch, when it came to those group stages, brought to you by LG Ultra Gear, it is Tycon and Shen that absolutely stood out here throughout those group stages.
And the crazy thing is, if you put these two ages together, they're almost as old as you.
Almost. Well, no, wait a minute. They're 19. Stop it. I'm not 40. But of course, they are in a position where they are looking fantastic. They are prodigies as a whole here. Here's today's matches. We've got Erangel, and then one little cheeky Tego, and 3 Miramars to round things off.
Yeah, and of course, tomorrow we go starting with Miramar and then end on Erangel. So, super balanced, 2 Tegos. And there's some funny things happening on Tego, of course. And also a lot of changes and drops and stuff. We hear some rumblings and stuff, you know. There is a lot of teams that, you know, they were secure already on day 2 of group stage, so they're already posting the drop spots where they tend to go. And then there's some other teams that weren't until the last game of yesterday sure that they're going. So there's some rumblings, and it's really interesting to see where they end up, because priority on the map is quite important.
Fight for pride, fight for honor, and you guys at home can go over to highhonor.com as well for the Magic 5 Pro and unleash the power of magic like a wizard and be able to go and do that. So you go check that out as well. And also, whilst we move on to here, we've got Spotify as well. Head over to Spotify.com. It is my daily source of excitement, is Spotify, and I'm sure you're able to watch or listen to all of your cool tunes whilst in the gym with me.
No, I forgot my email, so.
Did you?
Yeah, so I'm trying to go alone so I can just put my phone on, just blast music in the whole gym. But yeah, it's good. Use it every day.
Now let's talk about some of these teams, because obviously Cerberus, Tyloo, the Expendables, up towards the top, great group stage. Can they carry that same kind of energy, that same kind of fire here into the winners bracket?
They thrive in this very chaotic environment that we have in the group stage that they have at home in APAC as well when we saw the qualifiers. So I definitely feel like this is also also one of the reasons why they're able to succeed this well in group stage. But once we go to winners bracket, and this is getting a little nitty gritty, right?
Please do.
What we saw with winners bracket also at PGS1, right? It's way more slow play, way more center heavies, trying to survive, trying to keep 4 players alive, because you need to have top 8, of course, instead of just top 16. So again, it came down to one of the last games, and it will probably come down to the last game again here, who's going through. So you need to be super steady. You need to try to get as many points as possible from the very get-go, and also make sure you get points in every single match. If you're able to build, your 3, 4, 5 points, rather than have your 0-1-2 games, then it's a huge difference throughout those 12 games.
There's so many excellent teams to talk about here, but we don't have any time, unfortunately, here for now. We're ready to get into these games. Thank you very much, Avenger, here for PGS2. Let's get to the games. Let's get to the winners bracket.
Shot's gonna come out, and it's gonna be Tyloo getting their second game.
And what a play there. That was a beautiful display.
中国的战队每天都在进步，在这样一个不可企及的高度，我相信我们会很轻松晋级决赛。
And now look at the Expendables, Matt. They are making the push. They know this is their window of opportunity.
Chúng tôi không hề cảm thấy sợ hãi. Chúng tôi có thể đè bẹp tất cả những đội tôi gặp.
We didn't come to Riyadh to lose. We came here to destroy everything.
This is insane what these guys are doing.
Групповой этап и сетка победителей — это лишь ступеньки на пути к успеху. Мы приехали сюда для участия в гранд-финале.
D+Kia have just made this an absolute Alamo for themselves.
저희는 그룹 스테이지에서 잘할 자신 있었기 때문에 위너 그렇게 올라오는 건 당연하다 생각해요.
We're a step ahead of the game, and it's not worth your energy trying to catch up.
Todo el mundo puede pensar que es algo sorprendente, pero es algo natural para nosotros.
Just like that, one molly over the top as PO claims 3.
목표는 당연히 우승입니다. 리아드까지 왔는데 챔피언 타이틀 정도는 가져가야 되지 않겠어요? 한번 증명해 볼게요. 오늘의 주인공은 다나가 될 것입니다.
Welcome everyone to the first day of the PGS2 winners bracket. I'm Toby, joined by Matchroom, and we are in Matchroom for one hell of a set of 12 games here. The teams are ready. We've been up there talking with them already. They are good to go, and they want the action right from the get-go.
Oh yeah, we're getting like a small taste of what the grand finals could be like whenever we look at the collage of teams that we've got onto this one. But still, high pressure, as you've got to make sure that you're making the qualification settings inside of this, making sure that you're hitting your points, maintaining that consistency as we've had, sure, 3 days of action, but remember the players only each played 2 days due to the group stage. We're back into another 2-day session.
And speaking of the group stage, I'm just going to go out and say this. If the group stage is anything to go by in terms of how many insane moments, how many clutch plays we're going to see, we are in for an absolute treat. You can see it on your screens, about 30 seconds to go until the first game will pop off. And I have a question to you right out of the gates. Who do you think, Matt, will come off the strongest and why?
Who do I think is going to come out the strongest? Ooh, you just got to throw it to me off of the get-go.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
I'm gonna say I'm kind of I know I've got to do the waffling.
You do you.
But I'm kind of torn right now between 17 and Navi and how I think that this is going to end up between them. I think that Uba is coming in wanting to make a statement, and 17 once more, and I think that that's going to be the way we see this. APAC, man. Apex.
Navi 17, so EMEA China or APAC will come off the strongest. Everyone but NA. I like that answer, Matt. That's
Hey, look. Sonics managed to make some points. I finally didn't take on my fantasy team, so he did something.
They sure did. Now let's hop on over to match number 1. The plane is in the air, as fair as can be, as we go straight north to south. And while there's no promises of this plane path, one thing that is kind of interesting, especially as of what we've been seeing late and in the qualifiers for this tournament, we haven't had a single military circle throughout the entirety of the group stage. So who knows? With this plane path, there might just be a chance.
Look, I'm one of those people that whenever I'm like eating dinner or whatever, I find whatever the tastiest thing is, and I save it for last. Maybe that's all we're doing. We're just waiting for the millie-based games whenever we get to the grand finals, or whenever it's the absolute best moment for me, worst moment for the players.
Now I'm seeing Puccio still on board the plane. Now he's jumping. His entire team jumps towards Gatka. Does that have me worried? I'm not sure. He is in, and he's, well, good for him, the only guy on Millie. So maybe there's a plan to it. Maybe they didn't quite get the comms on through for when to jump out. I'm hoping that it's on purpose, and I'm also hoping we're not seeing any hot drops. But as I'm taking my eyes through the map here, I'm only seeing LG near Cerberus, but wouldn't expect a whole lot of commotion off of it.
Yeah, this looks like this is going to be a pretty simple drop, all considered. Puccio's maybe going ahead and getting himself as hyper-looted as possible. I will say that given the fact that we keep seeing Puccio's do some like spinning in the... Yes, you gotta be careful. We can't leak the script like this, Toby.
That's true.
We're supposed to be surprised.
Puccios, you're making it too obvious, man. We thought we had a plan here. No, he's the king of the island. He's got it all to himself, and I think he's aware of that too. And obviously, the last player to jump out of the plane saw no parachutes nearby. Now Sonic's wrapping on over, but you can be sure that he's telling his team, "Come down here, guys. It is an open buffet."
And for all of those that are curious, yes, Sonics is already in rotation back down to military, just like Toby was talking about. 17 Gaming chilling inside of Pachinki. Pachinki not even in the circle. This is still a pretty southern military circle.
It is very far south, not so much east side in, so the chances of those observatory endings are kind of, it's not impossible. It could still massively hard shift east, but not that likely. And then we still do have a little bit of land towards the north that could potentially have us end a game north of it, but that would also require one hell of a shift to go up there.
So we're looking around at everything. You can see that it's predominantly safety in play for a lot of people. Our teams that are very far to the north, don't be surprised if we don't see them coming into the very tail end of this. We haven't been seeing a lot of success in edge play coming out from our teams.
Yeah.
So whenever we're getting a military-based circle like that, that does mean that we also are going to have some interesting situations where trying to get into the circle as fast as possible.
Exactly. We're seeing PO here getting the rotation game going, the captain of the team, and now let's hear what he has to say.
저희가 좀 단단하게 잘하긴 했지만 그 이후 라운드에서 실수들이 많았고 또 이게 팀 게임이다 보니까 다 같이 잘해야 되는데 저도 못하고 다 같이 실수를 조금씩 하다 보니까 그게 좀 스노우볼이 굴러간 것 같아요. 아쉬운 것 같습니다. 세계대회가 이렇게 멤버가 맞춰지고 처음이고 오프라인도 오랜만에 하는 친구들도 많고 감을 좀 덜 잡아가지고 조금 더 경험을 쌓다 보면 충분히 잘할 거라고 생각하고 있습니다.
Man, these interviews are savage. Hey, you guys did good in game 1, but sucked since then. How's that happening? What's going on?
How do you feel about being bad?
I know.
It's always great to hear from the PUBG legend himself, PO, and I think we got to keep in mind that as much as he's saying, they're smart about the way they're doing this. They haven't had the best start to it, but they're acknowledging their mistakes. It's not just, oh, we didn't get the circles, like all the excuses. They acknowledge we didn't do well. They've sat down, they've prepared for this, but I want to see, you said there's not so much edge team play. They are one of the edge teams on this server. I need to see them be more aggressive out there.
And that's kind of the problem that we've seen, right? The teams they're playing on edge have just been getting picked apart by third and fourth parties. It's also been a lot more open circles, specifically in that mid-game section, and that's where we've been seeing a lot of our problems come in. So teams such as LG and Gen G, who do really enjoy fighting along the edge and use that to propel themselves up and maintain their like average points per game, it just hasn't been effective.
Now DraftKings popped off in the group stage, and well, that made everyone pick him for winner's bracket, and there you go, -3 points. Minute on the other hand gets himself the first kill of said winner's bracket, as he is far disconnected from the rest of his teammates over in Sarki. But you know what, if you want to get the mental games going, if you want to get into people's heads early on, this is when you do it, right from the start.
As we can see, Cerberus is going to be coming in. There is no bridge camp set up at the time. We saw Na'Vi making path just a moment ago. Don't be surprised if we also do see emergency pickups be a pretty common thing inside of this round, as we all know bridge camps can be quite problematic for a lot of teams. Cerberus actually taking the slow, just scouting, But on the opposite side, 17 actually does have a bridge camp set up.
They are sat there ready and waiting. Not sure if Cerberus is going to go all the way over here either, or if they're going to stop just on the other side. We'll see in just a few. I would imagine Cerberus. I mean, Cerberus is a team that throughout group stages set up a lot of traps. And what better place, what more iconic place to try and set up an ambush play than here. But as you can see, not quite the case. They're going to continue further forward. They're going to want to get their way further inland down here on the south.
The best traps are always set up where they're least expected. So see, you don't do the bridge, you move back just a bit and try to aim for it over there. It looks like that's what they're trying to set up. Get some more control over this eastern push outside of the bridge.
We saw just on the right-hand side of the screen before the kill spread between the team, the fact that you have Tycon and Himas doing so much work. I mean, the thing is, it's not just a two-man thing, but the entire team is set up around these two monster fraggers being able to do what they do best, and that is taking out players no matter where they are on the server. And oh my lord, have they been successful at doing exactly that. So I guess that's here just proving that this playstyle that Cerberus has come in with has clearly worked.
Looks like 17 realizing nobody making the path in. They were scouting out, making sure nobody was on the opposing side. Then said, you know, hey, let's just go ahead and cut over to the other position on this one. They're going to go ahead and get down the strong compound just on the southern section of that western bridge. Petrichor Road now going to be coming in right back behind Cerberus, but they do actually have Tai Lu that's going to be coming in back behind them. So if we see any shots really come out from Cerberus to slow down, or railings come out of nowhere to slow down Petrichor Road, they might have a problem behind them.
You talked about emergency pickups just before as well. Third on 5 just flew themselves from North Georgia all the way down to the southern side of Millie. Good, bad thing for them, I should say, is that they won't have vehicles to work with yet. Ooh. But we'll see if they find any now. Here's the trap, here's the setup. We'll see what they get off with. Dogma already started shooting, but whipping a few bullets, and that's going to be him down early.
And now we can see Haisaki wasn't quite in a position to exploit this as much as they wanted to. So with that, Dukmai going to be the one that receives the bad end of that, and that trap going to be slightly problematic, as now even LG coming in from the ocean on the opposing side. Petrichor Road's going to be able to bypass through them, but I don't think they're going to be stopping at Nova. I think they're going to keep going.
It seemed that Cerberus, I know that, I mean, of course, Dogma would have wanted to hit a few more bullets there, but as a whole, they weren't set up for exactly them wrapping out on that side. And therefore, I feel like when you're set up there alone, you know the entire team is coming your way, maybe just don't shoot if you have a chance to just fall back. If the team isn't ready for it, as you were saying, maybe just hold back and let them pass, because you know there are more fights to come.
They were trying to be prepped for it, but that was kind of one of the issues with it. They didn't have their last member really in that strong defensive position next to the hillside. And I think that we saw the call-outs come for, hey, look, they're cutting this direction, and we saw the shift out, but not a lot too much happening. LG actually are going to hit the shots onto Petrichor Road, pick up a kill outside of this one, as Petrichor Road going to be... I was actually kind of surprised that they stopped into this one. This is such a edge position inside of a military-based circle. I guess maybe aiming for kills on people wrapping away from the Cerberus camp?
I mean, Petrichor moved out very early. They're a very edge-heavy team in the very early stages of the game, but they also, I talked to Ixlef coming in to the finals as well, and about summer, their new captain on the team, they're still kind of conforming to the former 4AM play style of saying, play edge early, but still go center. 1.5, maybe even 2 circles than the former Petrichor would, and I think this is what they're trying to do, wrap around the circles so they could claim some center positions. This was just a pit stop to try and get everyone grouped up. They had just avoided a camp and survived. Now here, unluckily for them, Luminosity was there raiding.
And I think that they should be able to pass through this with no problem. There
they will.
Like, it's probably about a good kilometer before they bump into another team that they would have to be contesting against. Outside of this one, most of our teams are already inside the safe zone. Haisaki, though, you can see coming back over here with Cerberus making their shift away from their bridge camp. He is down. A couple smokes going to be coming out from this one, but it's going to be Tai Lu on the opposing side. That rock going to provide just enough cover, but nope, that's not going to be enough. Shin's got goals, man.
Now, Tai Lu is one of those teams that I didn't know exactly what to expect from coming into the group stage. They went out and impressed everyone. Phenomenal plays coming out from this team. Now I want to see them do it again here, though. We're full reset. We need to see Tai Lu. We need to see Shen and Xiaoyang go out and wave the banner, say we got the momentum going still from our previous games to be able to continue forward.
We do have the res that came out on the opposing side for Cerberus, but remember, this is a 3v3 all lined up. Tycon's trying to step in. It's going to be 755 that actually gets the knock. Rest Tai Lu's going to be coming in, and Shin opening up the door. Tycon's going to be on the opposing side of that, opposite side of that tree. Long's going to come in, and you can see Shin already knows exactly where he stays in. It's going to be a Mox that comes in with a big hit onto it, and Tai Lu, our first team eliminated.
Yep, solid repositioning, solid reset. Keep in mind, there were 3 players coming into that fight and took the first knock as well, so for a good portion of it, it was a 2 versus 4. But again, Cerberus, man, they are here to fight. And now with this circle shift, that is, well, I mean, it's north, but we are still not going north. I mean, okay, if you're a Falcons fan, cheer as much as you want, but there is very little to no chance of me going that far.
It makes it a lot more difficult as we're going to see a lot of teams committing into the Sosnovka hillside already, and those can lead into some very embittered battles over there, just due to the fact of how peak heavy it is, and if you end up in the valleys, your life is just terrible.
Now, Dynamo, you see here on your server, a team that had a bit of a slow start to the group stage, did manage to pull through in the end, making their way with the ferry, and also the Expendables, one of the Apex teams. Wait, what? Did they hit? What? You know what? This was a showcase. You can now rest in the water, people. For those of you guys who didn't know that, Dynamo, they have made a deal with PUBG and said, we haven't really had a chance to showcase this new ability yet. Dynamo, if you could just jump into the side of the ship and get run over so that we can get things going easily. Dynamo, like, you know what, it's kind of, I know it's winner's bracket and all, but, you know, we'll do it for you. So thank you, Dynamo, for showcasing to everyone that, yes, you can, in fact, rest your teammates in the water.
That slight curve of the ferry doing some work
We'll just ignore that one.
Okay, looking in, we can see most of our rotations coming in. Nuren's not getting away with that rotations as Na'Vi, center of the circle, high ground, everything that you could possibly want.
And this is where I'm worried for the teams around Na'Vi. They play phenomenal PUBG out of this position, both globally and within EMEA. And with how well they've been playing in this tournament already, usually Na'Vi has been a bit of a slow starter in the global stage, but here they come in super confident. I talked to Alia coming into today as well. As he gets knocked, that's unlucky, of course, and flushed. Sorry about that one, Alia. But he said they were playing confident, they felt good, they were just going to go out and play their game. With the position they have right now, they should be able to continue that. But of course, unlucky for them to lose one this early.
Well, that's kind of the symptom of the circle, right? Whenever you have that high ground, that means that every single time you're cresting to take any shots at any of the opposing teams, 50 people can potentially see you at the time, so it can lead to some very high risks in stepping out. This is kind of what we see going on in the northeastern part of the island. The remnants of what's still inside the circle is we are now also coming over here with Gen G next to 17. Essentially, we just bounce from one side of the circle to the other to give you an idea on kind of the lay of the land. Is everybody is hillsides, and then there's this awkward kind of congestion closer to the edge play, but I can't even really call this edge play, but it's the closest we got.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it essentially is. 17 still in and around the bridge, only with 2 players posted up, though, and Taemin on the bike has crept his way forward. So let's see now. Shabu has an idea, I think, that there might be threats coming from that side, but he's kind of looking all over the place, not having identified Gen G, obviously, but I like his awareness. Those spots, one PO seen on the other side, huge that he's able to see him before they catch them off guard.
I love this position that we see him playing from. It's so defended. It can really maintain a lot of control over that western front that you can see people try to make their moves in from. Plus, if for whatever reason somebody ends up going to the bridge, you can still do some secondary movements around that. There's a lot of strength to be had in it, but now having revealed themselves, they're like, you know, we could see somebody make the push into us. Let's just go ahead and regroup with our other teammates because they were only doing a 2-2 split here.
Also, I like both the disengage from 17 Gaming here, but also the immediate response. You saw both Lil Ghost and Sushu instantly hop in their cars. Guys, they're here, but you also hear, I mean, you can almost see the call come through. It was just one guy, he has fallen back. Let's just regroup again, because look at the amount of control 17 currently have. If they were to full commit on a fight against Gen G, other teams would claim that, especially with a shift like this coming through.
Okay, we know that we're staying on military base island, but the fact that we're still leaving that peninsula is absolutely insane. Question mark, you can see, make sure to get some more control over this northern area, because this is vital positioning now as we've just continued to shift up into this northern section of the island itself. Question mark have gained themselves just such a control point to be playing from. Like, look at how many teams they're presently capable of taking shots at.
And these shots could not come through at a worse time. Dano is trying to get back to the compound, but while they're running and getting shot by Question mark, now here comes Falcons as well.
Whoa, but Question mark needs to be careful because they do have Cerberus that is coming up back behind them. And, you know, DK, they've been out in the blue zone for a while, and they're also making approach. We'll see how they opt into coming in this one, but the longer the Question mark keeps taking these shots with Day Trade on the opposing side, means that we could actually see a bit more of a mix-up. Haisaki doesn't want to commit into the question mark line, instead maybe moving more to the south where LG is positioned.
Yeah, and this is really going to be a test on the Danawa roster. I mean, I talked about teams in the pre-show that have to be able to play against, you know, is here many days, stay good in health and whatnot. Danawa, I talked to Soul early. Anonix has not been feeling too well last night. Loki is the one that had an issue with his knee. Soul as well has not been feeling too good either. So they're all looking at me going, you know what, Salute is going to carry us today. So hopefully, hopefully, I looked at Salute as well, and he was a little worried looking. So we'll see if this early commotion is going to become an issue. Tygon finds the first one, gets the flush as well, and able to dodge and weave as D+, as I would feel forced to continue going.
Ooh,
wrong car.
Haisaki just kind of getting a vibe from Cerberus. Petrichor Road's just going to be the south of them. But as they move forward, they're going to be moving into that day trade sight line. I wouldn't be surprised if that Wizard Tower is going to be what they're going to opt into, because,
Sneakers out of the car. Out of the car right as
should be
you get
restful.
there.
Oh, no,
Hey,
maybe
you say
not.
that, but nope. The bolt, but not going to happen. And for D+ Kia, I mean, their strong suit in this tournament was never going to be aggression. The only way they've really been claiming points here is by playing super defensive. So maybe Americano in this shack will be able to get something done.
What we need to be looking at right now is we've got a build-up that's going on to the south. And yes, that's going to be Cerberus, Petrichor Road just getting picked apart. FaZe on the opposing side of it. And it's just down to a one-member. Cerberus still living in, putting in a ton of work, and they're going to go down. But this is not done yet. FaZe has still got some vision, some mindset on what's going to be happening over here. But this is also happening over on the western side, where we do have, it's going to be Gen.G and Sonics.
With the circle shifting far north, it's obvious that these edges are going to be burning. Question mark now out as well as Loki finds a three-piece. No matter if you got a bad knee or not, he's still going to be able to frag out, takes down the entirety of Question mark, and Sonics now trying to wrap their way further forward. First one goes down to the hands of Tiggleton. Finds the second as well. Now he needs to commit to the heal because he's running down low in phase 3 and it's about to hit phase 4.
And once they crest up this hillside, it's going to be 17 that actually has vision on him, and they know this. Pio all by himself. Pio things paying off, but that means that he is now the last one up for his squad. 17 moving more aggressively into this as the new circle is popped. It's kind of just centered up on the landmass itself. Mime looks like they're going to just go ahead and leave him behind, and Sonic's going to jump inside of a vehicle and send it with a wing and a prayer, but they're going to have T5 in front of them and Pio, depending on pathing, 17 on the other side.
And this is again a situation where, I mean, Pio a little disjointed from his team. We know that he likes to play this play style of going out and making things happen on his own, but when his team is then attacked and he is not able to really go out and help at all, it's just troublesome. As I say that, thank you, Pio, for disproving my point, because bad Pio things can really quickly turn into good Pio things. But even if he does get these 2 kills, I'm sure that he would have wanted to really have his teammates alive here too.
And that's kind of the problem, right? Is if you're Sonics, you're like, the only one we didn't kill was Pio. Where could Pio be? And now it is just going to be H-Win having to make pathing into a very caught out circle. Yeah. Now, yep, there's 17 coming in. 17 is going to continue moving south. H-Win could wrap to the north, but 17 has control of the entire western line. If there is no path that H-Win can take.
17 is taking nothing for granted here. They're wrapping in really slow. As you're saying, they have Little Ghost up on the northern side. They know that they have 3rd and 5 ahead of them, so not in a hurry to push on in. They'll sit here and make completely sure that no one is going to backfill them, that they're not going to get backstabbed. They want to focus inward, because we all know that 17 Gaming, once they only have one direction they need to go, they are as dangerous as any team on the server.
Look, whenever you got your backs to the wall, you don't have to worry about being backstabbed.
Exactly.
That's 17 strength. 8 HP. Oh, H-Win. He is going to find himself a recessed hillside that he can play in, but that is going to have some vision coming out from James and the rest of FaZe. So I think that they're kind of focused on the circle right now, and with that recess in the hillside, I don't think he saw it. Yeah, he should see it. Yeah, now.
Trying to get an angle now as well. The thing is, FaZe hasn't really been shooting a lot from where they are, so not a lot of teams knows exactly of their spot. So James might be a little hesitant in giving up his position. Not so much that he cares if H-Win knows where he is, not more so the teams around them towards the north. But now shots have been fired. It's actually Fex shooting down in this direction as Jim is trying to flex further towards the west. But again, they know that Na'Vi is nearby. They don't know exactly where they are. So again, James always really wanting his off-angle kind of surprise element. Don't want to shoot too soon.
And I got to give respect to H-Win. This is a good read on the circle, realizing the approach area to come into. He has no targets other than FaZe. If he can manage to make it to the hillside, use the crest in the hill to kind of block out any sight lines that they've got, he's got survivability, and he can kind of let Na'Vi protect him from that stage forward.
I mean, for a little while longer anyway. He is inside the circle now. We're close to placement points too, and in a best of 12, you know that every single point could be the deciding factor in, and just that one extra point could be the deciding factor in whether or not you make it into those grand finals directly, or if you have to go down into losers bracket.
Okay, we're getting into that stage, though, where it's kind of Na'Vi can see everything that they want to see, right?
Yeah.
They've got vision for pretty much anything. TE is going to be playing the lower section in front of them. LG still playing on the edge. They've just got Loki in front, as well as a weakened Falcons, as we're all just kind of waiting to see which direction this goes. It's going to lean in the south, into the hillside, move away from the coastline itself, which is going to be great for FaZe, oddly good for H1 as well, but look at that T5 Na'Vi 17 mix-up.
Yeah, Melman is on a solo flank right now, and currently is a little further down the hillside, but I think once he realizes it's two full four-man teams up here, he's probably not going to want to be gone over, and he is now running back towards his teammates. So you know what, as much as more kills could be good, as long as we know Na'Vi likes to kind of flex out and do damage on the edge, it's just not worth the risk. They have the compound, they have the edge to hold. Let's just let these guys wound each other and take what's left.
And 17 needs, and they know this, right? But they need to be very aware as they're moving forward. They're going to be moving hillside to hillside. It's kind of what we were alluding to beforehand.
Yeah.
It's great to get control over this western hillside, but the circle now heavily flavors Na'Vi, and they're going to have to move down into this, like, valley position, and it is so hard to survive through. They want to take out T5 quickly.
Yeah.
They want to start trying to harass what's up in front of them, and they want to try to move. That's why you see so many throwables coming out of the stage. They're like, we need to clean this fast, and T5 just will not relent.
I like what Pathenpong is doing here. It doesn't matter that he might be the cheapest player in Fantasy right now. He is buying so much time for his team to reset. He is not just constantly peeking with them 24. He's sit back waiting, forcing 17 to prioritize him in that shack and allowing for his team to reset. Unfortunately, though, Xiaowu is there. He has another plan and has to go to this first of all.
Now,
Loki again?
Just making go of it, and LG just cannot find a path inside of a circle to save their lives. Hence why they're always dead, right? But anyway, T5 still just trying to hold it together down here. This is going to be Rosted taking the shots into 17 Gaming with a little bit of combined effort. While we do see TE taking some shots into T5, who really can't move too much. This is just that valley fight, man.
Yeah.
It's just nobody really comes out of this clean.
And now is when Na'Vi can consider going down here. They've seen the elimination of one team. They've seen all the damage done on the other side. This is when they can start harvesting on the edge. Xiaobei should be down to this nade. Nope. If not the first one gets him, then at least the second one should. Nope, not going to happen either. Able to dodge and weave, get out of that one. And in the end, it's actually going to be 17 out on top. Pathenpong falls down to blue. Rusted is taken down too. And Loki, the lone survivor of Danawa, continues to rack up points.
This is great. He was watching. He saw out the back that Na'Vi got distracted for just 1 second, tried to send it in, but the problem with it is his face is still going to be defended in.
Yeah.
Mel is still holding back in that 17 line, as you were talking about, moved in a bit more aggressive, but FaZe, they did a good job of getting control of the southeast early, and day trade has been kind of functioning up into that northern corridor from them, so that's made it a lot more, like, as you were talking about, they really just had to deal with H-Win and get control over territory, and they've got that recess hillside that is so strong.
From a group stage now, where everything was pretty quiet in the early game, we have had a very, very action-packed pretty much entire game here. So phase 5, but only 19 alive is not something you see too often. There's plenty of space available. Issue is you can't really use that space for a whole lot, especially not if you're Falcons trying to cross a road and you have the entirety of Day Trade and Expendables set on the other side just waiting for you.
Yeah, Falcons, I was going to say, there's not a lot that's going to be able to be done there. Circle does pop, FaZe and a Day Trade feeling pretty good, but let's be honest, also Na'Vi to some degree, even though they're not inside the circle itself. They just want to take out this last 17 member that just refuses to go away. And with that, going to go ahead and feed over the blue. No surprise on either one of those. You know, whenever we've got so few alive at this stage, don't feed a point over, right?
Exactly. You see Na'Vi here. We talked about it with 17 earlier. Just do not allow for any snakes to wrap on through. And they know that there was a Sonics fight happening on the west earlier, and they have not seen that last kill come through. So they know there's H1 somewhere. They have to respect him. They have to be very, very careful. I mean, we saw just before a solo Loki take out 3 from Luminosity. Every single player on this server has the capabilities of really wounding your team if you're not ready at any given time.
TE is going to have, I want to say, a bit of an awkward path as the line from Na'Vi is starting to be much more northern facing. Good news for H1 is it means that he can creep in a bit easier depending on how FaZe manages to spot him out. But the big factor in it is we're also starting to get some more vision from Day Trade into what's going to be happening with this. There's a hillside that TE is trying to use to block out Day Trade's positioning, as you can kind of see FaZe lining up more into that. But I'm concerned about this. Yeah, you can see that Na'Vi is going to be creeping down more and more to the north, and Delwyn is kind of eyeing this direction, but with the way that these hills are working, it's just kind of like popping in, getting some vision, and then feeding it over. And now Example finally gets it, goes for the shots, gonna step away from it, and now feed that information over to his teammates.
What do they do in response to this, though, Na'Vi? They have a chance to back off. They can potentially, should they want to wrap down on that southern side. They don't know exactly how many from Expendables are looking this direction, but it seems like it's going to be a stalemate for now. Now you see Example starting to wrap wrap back towards his teammates. I like this play. When there's a wrap on that side, you can be pretty convinced that it's not just going to be one guy. There's more people coming your direction. So Example is backing off, setting up with Millman, because keep in mind, they lost one earlier.
I really like this. We can see the Expendables. We're like, look, we've been harassed from Day Trade for so long. We're making the Western commitment.
Yeah.
They're shifting heavily into that Na'Vi line, and they're saying, okay, we're going to defend from here. We're going to use this. We're going to try to brute force. And let's be honest.
Oh no.
No, he's gonna go for it. He's gonna reveal. He's got to hit these shots.
There's no way. That one's gonna hurt. In any case, Adrian at least got some placement points. He was a solo player with 11 alive and he makes top 5, so there's that. Well, that's probably all he can take away from that situation. But here comes Expendables. As shit, this fight was bound to happen eventually. They didn't want to go into Day Trade, and now they're forcing the fight against Na'Vi. Delvin up and over, finds the first, goes for the second as well, but can't quite connect.
It's going to be Na'Vi that's got their backs up against a wall in this one. Example, trying to be careful, but it's going to be FaZe also coming back behind, gives no space. And if you've got a team that's back against the wall right now and the Expendables, that is to be terrified of. Day Trade shifting over, but these guys, the more mad you make them, the more pressure you put on them, it feels like the more they're growing.
Great timing on Expendables as well. They see Na'Vi back off to go down a potentially third party, and then they wrap north around. The issue for both these two teams is Expendables finished that fight so fast that no one could really punish them off of taking it to begin with, and now they get to back off towards Day Trade. The issue is, I was just going to say, are they aware that Day Trade have made this play? They weren't, but at least they haven't been knocked.
We have Delwyn that's trying to hold back FaZe at the time, taking a couple of pot shots into him. FaZe with control over the hillside itself, kind of eyeing in as Day Trade without a lot of very good options, now starting to look more into that expendable line. Puchus is really, really close, but this is just not going to be a comfy fight given FaZe's positioning for either one of these teams.
The more shots getting fired here from Day Trade, the more Expendables are starting to realize what they're up against. And Flash on this house, they have to wait him out. I know they're on the edge of the circle. They should be wrapping south edge, but as you can see here, there's a lot of open space, but that open space is completely unusable for anything. You don't have your cars with you here. You have to take fights. And I think right now Expendables are trying to figure out which play do we go for, and they have to push up now.
Positioning is massive. He does get spotted out. 777 reads it, moving in, but then the lines open up for Day Trade. It's going to be Flash that hits the shots into him, but now the Expendables know that they need to move. FaZe now going to be more aggressive into this. Jeems, Fex, as well as Qrexy all moving down the hillside.
And Flash with just 14 bullets to work with, not going to be any more he can do. Nice reset once again from Tanwu and Expendables. No flushes so far. FaZe have to be real fast if they want to punish off of this.
I mean, again, just a clean, quick firefight coming out from the Expendables, sitting at 8 kills right now. And FaZe has control over the circle, and they're moving aggressively into this, but they had to leave Gustav back. So 3 members in FaZe now moving aggressively in, gets the shots, knocks 2 of them, and it's going to be Tanwu on the other side now looking in patiently.
Yeah, this is FaZe written all over it. Great timing on their part to come on down. Again, keep in mind, FaZe hasn't really had any good endgame performances in the group so far, so for them to come out with a win, they would rather play it safe, rather claim that win than go out, potentially risk it all, and end up in third. So nice good finish off here for FaZe in a game that I could only imagine they're able to bring home.
Yeah, this is going to be it for the Expendables. The hillside just too strong. The defense lined up from FaZe. And his Flash is going to be leaning into Gustav, but remember, he's been holding this line for a while now. He knows exactly where they are. FaZe already repositioning him out. This feels like it's a matter of time unless Flash has the biggest play of his life. The hillside could provide it. There is a world where it could happen, but it's not the likeliest of things.
It really isn't. And with the change of the FaZe, not roster, but role management on the team, they are much more grouped up these days than they were before. I mean, obviously, Naze have been lobbed on forward. With all of them up on the northern side, there's only really so many places he can be. And what other teams would do in spreading out and trying to find him, look at FaZe. They're set full together again. No risks being taken here. 4v1. Flash literally doesn't have the ammo to get them all at once.
But this is really well done by his part, realizing how they were going to be moving into it, shifting back up, moving into the hillside. He doesn't have a lot to work with, you're right, but he's making sure to exploit as much as possible. Keep in mind, he doesn't know it's 4 members of FaZe that are up at the time, so he's got to be...
He should know.
He should have a pretty good idea that they're all going to be up. Now here comes the hillside push. They now know, start to throw everything in. Flash going to go for something. He's got a shield up, but yeah, not too much you can do there. FaZe, though, 10 kills and just a dominant win.
Great game for them. They played it quiet on that southern side from the start. Again, they were hesitant. Even when H-Ring came around the corner, they were playing it slow. They want to get late game presence. They want to get time in on the server against these teams rather than go all in early and potentially die. So very, very calculated play from FaZe to bring home the win in the first match of Winners Bracket.
You got your melee circle now. Are you content?
There you go. Now we don't need more. Now we got it out of the way.
Or maybe now it's just the beginning of an era of military base circles. But as we've got everything, we're going to take a quick look back in all the glorious action from the last one. So without any further ado, highlights.
Yep, Toffees isn't here, but I am. We've got FaZe Force 5 all over the place here, able to get themselves the victory here on military. What a victory for them here to start off the winners bracket.
Yeah, they're able to deflect the H-Win backstab quite nicely, and they're staying Fall Guys strong with that. And then, of course, they're pushing in for the Expendables and taking over that position quite nicely. But yeah, they played it super clever. They had Corexi on the anchor position on the other hill, and then they made sure that they were the only team coming in from the south.
And doing well for themselves here as we take a look back at some of the highlights. And for all of these teams trying to crunch down on the northern side, eventually when you get to some of these compounds, this roadside as well, you do get kind of bamboozled by a lot of these teams. But once again, the Expendables is able to thrive in that situation and get themselves towards that late game.
Thriving in the chaos, man. It's all about the Expendables.
Yeah, they did well for themselves. And of course, FaZe here with a big victory on the board to start things off. They are a team that once is given a little bit of momentum, a little bit of push forwards here, I think FaZe might do pretty well off the back of that.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, it's very important for them now that they didn't do well at PGS1. So starting off like this here, the momentum that can build off this is something that, of course, they would love. And yeah, having a start like this is like basically, okay, we're going to make it. We're top 8.
Yeah.
Because you have such an advantage going into that, for sure.
No, I would say so. I would say so. There were moments where I thought maybe like H-Win, for example, you know, probably should have got like one of the FaZe guys. So they got a little bit fortunate with some of those sprays going down towards them. But I mean, other than that, turned on a dime, able to take him out.
And also there was 5 teams alive at that point, right? He could have maybe, now that they maybe felt that there was secure for that hill, he could have delayed it way more, maybe taken 1 or 2 placements. But again, if you feel like you have a free point, you should always take it. Unfortunately, there was some ducking and weaving going on. But on the other side, I'll say, you know, with the Expendables, how they're able to take down Navi, that was super impressive. They, again, pushing in utility-wise, winning their fight, winning their 1v1s. It's just, yeah, it's look like they're continuing what we saw from them group stages.
It felt like they almost knew that they had a numbers advantage very early on in a fight like that, because it was kind of a very aggressive, very oppressive against what Na'Vi had available to them there. Unfortunately, losing Alias so early on does put a spanner in the works a little bit.
It also helps, you know, everyone else are like, okay, Na'Vi lost one early, so they know if you're fighting Na'Vi, because when you lose it outside like of all the chaos, then it's pretty easy to kill feed. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, beyond all of that though, the fact that we actually did have a military circle to start things off.
Fantastic.
I came back from the maker room and I'm like, oh, okay, because we didn't actually have any during the group stage. I was expecting maybe 1 or 2 to kind of crop up here, but for the teams dealing with it, actually a lot of teams were able to get there quite swiftly, but some teams had a little bit of a harder time, I suppose.
Yeah, Dano had a little bit of a rough time out jumping off for the ferry. There was a little bit of fortune, delayed it a little bit, but Loki still had a huge pop-off game. I think he ended up on like 6 or 7 kills. But here, of course, the winning team, FaZe Clan, Jeems ending up on 4, and the rest of the guys, they share a little bit. I talked to them a little bit before the games, and Fex said, these guys are absolutely inhuman. I don't know if it was a slant for fun or what it was, but yeah, they start off like this. I'm pretty sure he's happy. And of course, the man of the match by Kadir here, Jeems.
An absolute veteran of the scene here, Jeems taking that #1 spot to start things off, brought to you by Quidia. And I think ultimately as well, Jeems is kind of one of the guys that flies under the radar a little bit sometimes in the later stages of what I'm saying for PUBG esports. Still a great player. It's just that, you know, again, you've got all these young guns coming up and stuff like that.
He's getting old. He was young when we started out. He was like, you know, 20, 21, but now he's, you know, if you ask him, it's like the boomer. But the match leaderboard here, 20 points for FaZe and Expendables is 13. Really good. Day Trade, happy to see them also step up. They were also really good in the winners bracket for PGS1.
Definitely. A lot of kills coming in for 17. Danoa as well, getting 7 on the board alongside Cerberus, who went through the ringer in this game. I felt like every time we saw them on camera, just fighting the usual. But 6 kills is going to set them in good stead to get things rolling as well.
Cerberus winning the fight against Tyloo, of course, super important for them. Nimas popping off 3 kills in this game too.
Yep, definitely. All right, well, that is how things sit here for game #1 of Erangel. Again, it's difficult to kind of extrapolate from a Miramar circle, from a military circle, how things are really going to unfold in Erangel, because it is such a different approach to the game here. But for FaZe, as we see them on screen, they're going to be sitting happy.
But you can definitely tell, like, the more slow approach for the vast majority of the teams, like, they're staying more calculated. They're staying together, more like moving like a unit for sure in this case here. And this is what we expect from the winners bracket, like calculated moves, pushing together, playing together. We're not going to see like these flashy moves until where maybe we have the teams that feel like they're secure in the top 8.
Yep, definitely. There's an opportunity here for all of these teams to kind of situate themselves decently in the middle of the map if we do get a decent circle for that, as we take a look over towards the Expendables and how they're going to fare here for them. I think so far so good. When you see something like that, it's the glimpses of continuing on what they had in the group stage. We were talking to some of the guys earlier who were saying, you know, they were all laughs and giggles even at the beginning of this as well. So that does sit well for them to try and kind of bring that attitude from the group stage into the winners.
I think when it's, especially for their case, like they're here for the first time for a PGS, and it's the biggest PGS so far, right? $2 million.
It's huge.
It's all fun and games for them. Like if they're able to play the game that they love and they're able to do well, it's just like roll with the punches and roll with how much fun you're able to have with those goals.
And I was theorizing, we were theorizing even backstage, you know, how much it would mean if Cerberus or the Expendables or one of these teams was able to actually win PGS here. Like, it would be huge.
Life-changing.
Not only life-changing for the players, but for their region as well, because there is a lot of fans down there, of course. Very excited to see them do well.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, we were in Bangkok last year for Nations Cup, and the fans were absolutely nuts when they won one of the games, right? So it's obviously super crazy to see. And Patrick Groth here on stage, and I'm hoping that they'll do well. They didn't really surpass my expectations so far in the group stage.
Let's see how they're able to fare then. I saw that plane path. Let's get into it. It's Erangel, the grassy pastures once again. Let's head over to the commentators.
Thank you so much, guys. Here we go. One more angle for today before we hop on over to Takeo. I'm Toby, joined by Matt Trim. And Matt, we finally got a melee game.
We finally got a melee game, but look at that plane path.
We finally gonna get a melee game.
We're finally gonna potentially get another melee game.
Yeah.
This is a very southern plane path. I mean, what? South of Vilta proper?
It's safe to say.
Going over Quarry?
This is as south as they come. Like, you cannot force that plane further down there. It's literally as far south as planes go. Now, last game, we had Pushels on Melee Island. I feel like this game, there's gonna be a few more teams down there.
Maybe? I don't know, like, I almost feel like I can kind of see, I kind of agree with some of the players. You can see the players are like, okay, pretty decent chance it could go military base, but there's also a world where Primorsk or any of that other stuff can kind of be a much more feature factor. And I don't know, I wouldn't want to make the jump to military base. Genji says, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Let's just go ahead and go with it.
I mean, they sat in the plane and they waited it out just to see, and then obviously sitting and looking backwards in the plane, they don't see anyone jumping towards the south. They say, we'll claim it, because what they did yesterday as well was really smart. They'll take melee, then they'll find an emergency pickup, and if it doesn't go melee, they will just fly towards Georgiopol with that plane in the early game and then loot from there. So regardless of what happens here, they should be all right. But let's see, just about 10 seconds to go where that first circle pops.
Oh man, that is messy over there in the west. We've got so many teams. We have to talk about secondary and tertiary drops. This is one of those where you've got to be thinking, okay, what's the fifth down on my list where I want to go? Is no surprise, military base island. What I was talking about beforehand though is I do agree with the players. Don't make the jump to military, because you have to assume that it's going to get messy. It's almost one of those things where everybody was assuming people were going to go military, and then nobody went military.
Exactly. But military looks to be the playing ground once again. It's not 100% sure. It could still hard swing north up towards where Na'Vi is currently located, but there's a very good chance that we do end up going down in that direction.
I never count out the bridge games anymore. We'll have to see how that's going to go through. 17, though, still going to get over to Pachinki. No surprises on that one. Updating you, we can see that question mark's going to go over to Primorsk. We've got Day Trade that's doing Quarry, Sonics that are kind of doing along Ferry Pier itself. Na'Vi playing pretty far to the south. Cerberus, Petrichor Road, the rest of the team still stretching up to north. Oddly enough, Falcons and T5 as well as TE still kind of pushing that Georgiopol Gatka route.
Yeah, I mean, they know they're going to be late anyway. They jumped out of the plane late. Everyone is in a better position. You know what? Go up there. 3rd and 5 flew in last game. Falcons had an easier transition in the previous one, but neither of them had games where it was like, oh, it was miserable to get down there. So get that one extra first aid and you'll be fine.
I mean, military bases, there's so many options now in comparison to what it used to be. It's not as terrifying as way back in the day whenever it was like, all right, well, you got to get one of the 5 boats or you got to push the bridge, right?
Exactly.
So we've got ourselves a 777 interview to give us a breakdown on kind of what's going on with their team.
Chắc chắn là sẽ có những cái chiến thuật nó khác. và mọi người sẽ đón chờ và hôm đấy sẽ biết. Thì em nghĩ là bọn em sẽ chơi game theo là một cái đầu lạnh và chúng ta sẽ cố gắng thể hiện hết sức để đạt được vào chung kết tổng. Mục tiêu là trong top 3 để đến BGC cuối năm ạ.
I like his very politically correct answers. We have game plans for different games. We'll show them in the match. No spoilers, no reveals, but I love the fact that he said their goal here is top 3. This is a team that didn't just want to make grand finals. That didn't want to play mediocre. No, they're coming here for the win.
And respect, like 777 was one of the cheapest options in fantasy, and if you picked them up, you're feeling pretty good. I had him on my team, but the rest of my team just didn't do me good. So 777 was my points earner, and I gotta give respect. They're playing so well, and they're doing a really good job of exploiting like those small mistakes of the teams around them, because they're not a team that's afraid to be aggressive, but it's not like a slam your face into the wall kind of aggression. It's the right there, we can pick that guy. Once we do that, we flood them and then we wipe them off the map. And it's clean every single time.
And that's one of the things I like the most about the way they do their up-close fighting is, and I think that's maybe what's catching some of these opposing teams off guard as well, is that they never just come full for like steamrolling straight into, they'll out-position, they'll spend as much time maneuvering on ground as they'll do sitting waiting to take a shot. Like they'll always be the active team to go out and try and battle against your angles, but every single time someone starts shooting, you can be pretty certain that someone will have an off angle and creep up right behind. So it's a lot of attention baiting and getting free shots on opponents that really is working for them.
And in group stages, you can also see a lot of hesitation, or I don't want to necessarily say fear, but some anxiety that will build up by playing those like solo flanked positions, right? The Expendables, they don't have that. It feels like they've got confidence in every single one of those positions whenever they play it, and the team will execute based off of going, I know if the three of us push here, they're going to retreat off of that point, and then our guy on the side is going to get him.
Exactly. Now, as we're looking at 17 Gaming here, I want to take your guys' attention to the map, because as much as I know it's a melee game, look at how Tyloo are currently split. They have Shen south of Potato, they have 755, he looted Ruins, while the rest of his team looted north of Volcano. That is as wide of an early game split I think I've ever seen in the center of the map, but it goes to show that with some of the teams that would usually loot in and around this area, 4AM in here, Twisted Minds in here, they just have that much more room to work with.
It's a very weird predicament that's based off of what's going on with the circle itself. You guys saw the end of the last game, so you're kind of familiar with this area. FaZe going to come in. Corexy really wants to try to make sure he secures this one's down. Gustav is going to get caught out for him. Stamin's going to go through. Shots out, but no! Corexy's going to go down, and FaZe, they had themselves a great first game, but the second game not looking too good already.
Wrapping up as fast as they could, but could not get there in time. Gen G full speed forward came here and they claimed the area of the map. Now James is still alive, but are we really going back to the days of the win into 16th curse? I feel like there was a good period back in the early days of PUBG where that would happen pretty much every single game, and well, at least James is still alive. We'll see if he can get something going. D+, we talked about him in the previous game, not so good on the aggression, but really, really impressive throughout group stage when it came to defending a spot against the opposing teams. And Na'Vi, well, they had a good game from this spot last game. They want to take it once again.
Just stepping in, a good bit of like opening nades just to go ahead and kind of break open the doors, get everything. Now they've got to do the more complicated part, but just the read. And even that beat. What the absolute hell? That was so cleanly played. Now steps back away, he's taking some damage, and that was just technical. They took damage off of it, but those angles were so tight, and he still hit that.
Na'Vi is as warm as ever, and D+ just felt the pain of the world champion team. This is a warning to everyone else on the server that a hot Na'Vi is a Na'Vi that can be almost immortal looking.
That Kia just got totaled. There is no reselling of that one right there. We're just going to call that one done and quick.
Out skilled.
We've got LG now making their approach over from Radio Tower. There is a weird thing to kind of see right now on the map whenever we're looking at how people are set up. The ones that are like, okay, look, let's be honest, let's go on military base. And they're the other ones that are like, well, maybe not. Let's play this a bit like in a safety position. We do have, it's going to be TE, 17 Gaming, question mark, that are a bit more on the hesitant side, right? And I feel like that is also going to come back to the emergency pickups and stuff like that. You have a couple more options on getting to the circle, so you don't have to make that commitment just yet.
Also, I mean, there's enough space in that northwest that it's not just, oh, it really has to be a wild shift in order to do it. There is actually like a problem. I'm not going to go into percentages, but a decent enough chance that you can say, let's wait. Like, we're going to be down there late regardless, so let's wait and see. If we get it, it's going to be amazing. If we don't, well, we're still going to go late anyway.
And there is the benefit as well as playing into the north. You can potentially pick up some kills. Is LG going to be trying to rotate down in, but it's going to be Loki, just good defensive up. Got the walls around the outside, but remember, he's by himself right now. So every single one of these shots is very important. Hey, well, you know, LG, this is not looking too comfy.
For those of you guys who are unsure, this is a highlight from the previous match, and as you can see here, Loki it's okay, absolutely frag. I mean, this is just, we always go when you go from stage to stage, it resets. Maybe some teams aren't as hot coming into it as how they lift off, and despite the fact that Dano are coming in with sick players, with wounded players, with Loki having hurt his knee and all, they, at least Loki, is out here to frag.
I was expecting that one given the fact I saw LG moving into a yellow on the map, but that's the Na'Vi yellow. Gotcha. So now looking through, back into what I was talking about a second ago. Playing into the northern area does mean the fact that you can set up a gauntlet-style situation, pick up some of these kills as they're making the rotations in. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of one of the reasons. Specifically, if we look at the lay of the land, the way 17's formed, the way TE is formed, they're kind of set to see if anybody does push these bridges or does push the peninsula, they can try to pick up a kill off of it.
Yeah. In the meantime, we see FaZe finally get eliminated. Oh, finally, I say we're only about 10 minutes into the game, but teams wasn't long for this world as once again Na'Vi, we talked about it in the previous game, I saw it too, how they like to flex out. They try and maintain as much buffer space as they can, and luckily for Teams, they went straight into the crosshairs of Alia.
Looking in, this is kind of the nature of the beast, right? We've got Falcons being one of the few teams that are coming in, but remember those gauntlets we were talking about? Look at what's going on to the north. We can see that it's going to be Danawan's one spot, Petrichor Road, followed up by TL. It's Falcons need to be very careful on this pathing as the circle is going to go way more military base. No surprise this time, but the eastern bridge is pretty open. It looks like Cerberus isn't really committing into a camp over there.
No, I mean, they're sat around clearly, and I think off of the last game, we're sure they got one kill off of moving in later. They also lost a player instantly, so no reason for them to over-aggress. Sure, they could be sat around, but now might as well take some good real estate in the center of the circle. You see C5 waving from up high, saying, bye-bye, 17, we'll see you on Millie, as they come flying across your mini-map in the bottom right corner. Here they are.
Well, worry not. 17's going to do the same thing in just one moment, as we've got a lot of very strong shots that are going to be in military base that are going to be capable of looking up and seeing this. Most notably, we've got a stack where we can just see, so many in this window. How are you going to drop into this and not get picked?
Imagine this. Therodon 5 don't see vehicles up on observatory. They fly all the way up there, and these circles keep shifting east. That would be the sickest emergency pickup, area claim off of a circle that just swung towards that east side. If they somehow, it's a ballsy play to even go and check it because you're that much closer to your opponents because of the altitude, but if they get that, that would be huge.
And it looks like they are leaning more to the road itself as how they're going for the drop in, as Falcons still kind of make their push from that northern area that we were talking about just 1 moment ago. But this is going to be right up against the blue zone, pretty far out. So they don't want to get too tangled in this. They want to get to the zone.
And this is dangerous timing too, because down where you can see they're trying to get onto attached to this one as well. The plane is here now. Do they get away in time? They're trying to throw smokes now to deny shots to come through, but shots will come through as Epic sprays on through all of them, trying to shoot down out of the air, but somehow they're able to dodge and weave halfway up the sky and safely get away. And now it's Falcons to move.
For now, there's a lot of tracers that are going up and after him. Expendables now taking the shots into QM as they're trying to cross the bridge. Nothing going to be on the opposing side of it, so they should be fine from then on out. We also do have a boat cross that's going on right now, as I believe Petrichor Road has opted into doing this while we see QM making their play out. Where did we see the drop come out from that pickup?
They're on 5. They're towards the north side. And it makes sense to me they don't want to fly further. This is a compound. You see them in the compound now. They're in a spot centered in the map where they won't have vehicles.
Okay.
The issue is they came in without vehicles, meaning that's the main thing people look for when flying in. And now Danawa is flying into that exact compound. Look at this. They're seeing no cars. The doors are closed. They think it's safe. They're in for a surprise. As soon as they hit the ground, Loki finds the first one. Soul goes down instantly after.
And Theraton 5 trying to hold this as clean as they can, but already 2 members down, just descending into this one. Dano was trying to hold it, but it's just getting picked apart on their landing, and this is what I was talking about. Remember, this is the squad that was getting harassed by Falcons as they were taking off, and where they were wanting to drop into, and with the no vehicles off of Theraton 5, that's where we see the positioning in, but
there's no way
let's add in more.
Here.
Our Ty Lu coming in, they're coming in pretty fast. I think that might be going more coastline. They can hear this. They can see the trace. They're not gonna stop it.
They have to hear and see what's happening, but where do they fly? They're already committing downhill. They're gonna land straight on top of Petrichor Road. I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't think Petrichor is sure what's going on here either, but they have to back off because they have a whole new fight on their hands.
They have got to be so cautious with it. Ty Lu trying to hold it together. They're gonna go in with shots. Petrichor Road is gonna be out with that landing, though. Keep in mind, Cerberus, here's what's gonna be happening. They shifted off of that bridge position to the west, and they're very involved in sightlines on both because they're running a 2-2 split.
Now we've seen it all. Emergency pickup third partying. That is, I mean, you have to time it so incredibly well. It's a 1-minute timer on the plane to arrive. Then you have the whole trail over, and then you're parachuting in. Ty Lu could not have timed that any better.
The chaos isn't done. The new circle still has a ton of water. We've got QM, TE, Sonics all needing to move. 17 right on the edge. LG is going to be bisecting right in between all of that. T5 still holding on to their 2 members, and Dano on the opposing side with just 1, but nobody's going to move. There's, what, 3, 4 teams looking at this now?
So let's try and catch up breath while we have space too, because we all know that this is gonna go absolutely crazy in just a little moment. Ty Lu, they've claimed the northern shores off of a very, very fortunate timing in that fly on through. Theraton 5 flew in with 4, only set 2 left alive, and Danoa down to just salute. So it's 3 emergency pickups back to back to back that caused a ton of commotion, but the victors in this, not only did they get the position, they also got the circle. Ty Lu are set very, very comfortably up there.
I also like what Falcons is doing, making a quick stop over there, getting some vision. Remember, they were the ones that were harassing Danoa?
Yeah.
And that's gotta suck. Imagine being Danoa, taking off, getting some small damage, being shot at by Falcons, and then you land on top of T5 directly into a firefight. Unofficially, Falcons probably assisted T5 in that fight so much.
That's an ambush. That is an ambush set up perfectly by Sonics, and Expendables have no clue what was waiting for them. Once again, we're seeing these trap plays, and this time around, Expendables are completely torn to pieces.
Good read on the circle with this one. We have some more problems that are kind of brewing with it as QM was thinking about taking a similar path, but Navi playing from that hillside, taking some shots, making it more complicated on them, allow Sonics to make some more movements that they were having issues with just a moment ago.
Again, I mean, we talked about it before. Navi likes flexing out of the compound. They do it here as well. They hear Sonic shoot towards Expendables. They go, if this turns into a proper fight, they cannot focus us up the hill. We'll have a good chance of doing something here. Now, we hop on over to Flash. 750 damage in the previous game, but 0 kills. He really wants to go out and get him, but in the meantime now, it's actually Cerberus who are doing all the damage and finding all the knocks towards the center of this circle.
This is a very awkward fight, as the 17 does have a little Ghost that was playing more to the north of this. He's already been taken out. And as well, Cerberus has a lot of pretty decent sight lines with the control that they're playing from, but this is a very wide 2-2 split. If they see vehicles come in and kind of push into them, it's going to make it very difficult, but we've seen so many emergency pickups. Vehicles aren't as a big a factor in this.
Not a factor at all, almost. We'll see now if Xiaowu can somehow regroup with his teammates' issues. Daytrade knows exactly where both Sushu and Xiao Bei are currently positioned, so it's going to be very hard for them to get any sort of surprise or jump on Daytrade. Nate's lopped on over. That one's going to be close. 40 damage done. You could imagine that the next one is going to find the target and probably do damage too, as it does. Sushu down to low HP. Good thing for them is that Cerberus have still yet to wrap over the northern side.
I really like that. It's hard to hit a nade on that curve and that hillside. Molotov will just hit and spread, be a little bit easier with him, but Joe says, nah, man. We're getting a little tired of this one. But he's now just him, Suju, the only ones that are going to be up, and Daytrade as well as LG both taking some shots into it. Luckily, this reposition coming out from the Falcons into the east means the fact that Cerberus is a bit more distracted, can't really shoot in the backside. Suju got to step in, take down Nurens, and look, so close. He's just stepping in, going for the spray, and he got away with that safely. I thought he was going to be dead right there.
He is. There he falls, tried to go for the flash, not going to work out for him. Spellman just full commits to the peak. That's one more down, and Sushi now the only 17 player left alive. Now Daytrade did take casualties too, as Norrens was taken down, but with a half-second left. And actually to say that Sushi goes down as well. That's 17 completely out, as now Falcons, the last team to join the party, have arrived.
finally getting some separation away from that that Cerberus duo a moment ago that let them kind of turn their more attention to the south. Is Cerberus's 2-2 split is still just so efficient right now and putting in so much work. They're dealing with Falcons, but 4 members of Falcons right now are starting to collapse in, and they've got to be cautious. Navi going to send it down the hillside right into Sonics. Navi knows where they're at, played around it, moved in, but there just wasn't the cover that they wanted.
Sonics sat here earlier, and Navi thought surely they would have left by now. Not quite the case. Sonics haven't had to move, and all the kills are just coming to them. And just like that, it's only Uber left alive. Does he commit to getting off this hillside, or does he wrap back north knowing that his teammates are done for? You could only imagine that he's gonna make a run off of this. No way he's gonna get down here safely. He is a phenomenal player, don't get me wrong, but the longer you stick around here, the bigger the chance that you fall down with the rest of your team.
LG is coming up back behind. They heard what's going on with Sonics. They're about to pounce into this. Tickleton cannot make the commitment into Uba. I was so willing to see a Tickleton Uba 1v1, but instead, Mime says, no, I need assistance. I've got some friends over here, and Luminosity Gaming wants to get control over this because this opens up them to have control of the entirety of the majority hillside.
Nice timing bolt there by Sonics. You had Tick still rotating in. You had Strimsy trying to go for a rest. What do? We don't need guns right now. Instantly pull out the smoke launchers and set up a barrier. Do not allow for LG to realize that they have a massive upper hand should they commit to this fight. So time being bought, everyone's healed back on up. Nice reset there by Sonics.
This is such an awkward place to fight given how just massive the decline in this hillside is. It means the fact that you kind of have to play specific positions in the defense for it. But while all this is going on, remember, Sonics is still very nervous. They know that they've got Uba back behind them somewhere, and they don't know what he's up to. So he's presently in a vehicle repositioning and using this opportunity, but they're now having to make the directed commit in, and it looks like that fight's about to pop off in just 1 second. Question mark trying to make their cross. Salute trying to hold it together, but he's got himself the shotgun prepped. Goes for the pop. Is he going to get another one? No, he isn't. Best of luck. Limps into this building.
3 HP to work with as he survives the onslaught that could have been one more solo performance from Danoa, but down goes Salute. As you said before, Uber was here. I like the flank attempt. Unfortunately, though, a single player. It's going to be an easy find for Sneakers.
This opens up a lot more for Sonics, too. Now they know that they can play a bit more aggressive if they do need to do so. You can see now it's starting to be a lot more on the run offensive. Looking at the circle, they're just trying to push their way more northern. But this is an interesting set of brewing that we've got going as Falcons now trying to make their rotation.
I mean, Cerberus are just maneuvering this forest to perfection. They're wrapping around, they're spreading out, they're taking full control. Falcons know where to go. They know they have Daytrade just on the other side of this hill. Flash should be seen by now, you'd imagine, as they're getting ready for this fight. So the regional battle's on. It's APAC to the east, and it is NA to the southwest.
Our big movers that are coming into this one. Daytrade trying to make the push into Cerberus. Cerberus stepping away from that line, wanting to go a bit more centered. Tai Lu also still needing to rotate in. They might find themselves pathing a bit closer to the Cerberus side because that's one of the stronger places to play into the circle, but LG and Sonics both still kind of in their standoff on the outside. This is the thing that we need to watch because this could denote so much of the end game.
Yep, one single knock to kick this off, and in what could probably be 30 seconds, you'll see 2 teams wiped off the board. It's very quickly going to get very crazy, especially also here down towards that southwest side, with Sonics getting ever so much closer to Luminosity just over that ridgeline. Flood ready and waiting for the push, but Sneakers finds one early with a nade.
So well cooked, and now just going to go ahead and sit, wait. Next nade's going to come out. H1 cresting up the hillside. So he's
just running for it.
He just steps into it. I mean, that's what you got to do when the nades start going out, right? Several of them come at you while the pin's pulled. Make the push, get the knock.
You know what? I don't mind it. Whenever you see the second nade thrown, you go, he's probably going to throw a third as well. If I can catch him with nade in hand, so be it. And he does exactly that. H1 finds Flood now with the molly as well. So Kick, all of a sudden, just in a split second, finds himself very, very lonely. Strimsy peeks over the top, goes for a knock, but realizes that they have to go for the res instead.
Genji moving a bit more aggressive into this, and it looks like they might want to try to third party. Just 2 members, though.
Now, we saw on Genji's Takeo loss that they could have come up victorious had they been more decisive. Have they committed to one of the 2 fights they had at their hands? Here, we're seeing a flex on up, but Taman and EJ are still up towards the north, so it's limited how much PO and DG can really do. And I think because they find themselves somewhat alone here and still respect the teams out east, they don't commit to it. But I would have really wanted to see Genji be in a position now to punish Sonics off of trying to make this play. Taman and EJ has to cross eventually. Why would they not have wanted to do it already?
Poor kickstart. You left that fight against Sonics, and now you're walking into the thick of the Cerberus, Daytrade, Tai Lu shenanigans. As Sonics is still trying to figure out exactly what LG's got planned. I think that they're going to realize that this is pretty clean in just one moment. Speaking of that kind of brewing situation, you can see that Shin has now creeped up and gotten very, very close to a duo for Cerberus.
They're big old all bells all over the place, and Kickstart might just be the torch that's going to kick it all off, but not quite the case. He's quickly dealt with as Sonics now, with the elimination of Luminosity, realizes, great, that is space towards the southeast. We can backfill, but as you were saying before with Kick, do they know what they're running into? Because there's a big pack of teams sat down here towards the southeast side.
The pathing for this is actually probably one of the better ones that they could take, because they could just step in and fourth party this the moment it starts to pop off. With Cerberus now taking those shots in, Sonics is taking shots in. What's going to be going on with Daytrade? That stalled out that fight. That means that this is kind of a 2v2 style squad fight between both. And while this is going on, Genji is still kind of flanking around to the south, back behind Sonics. This is slow roll firefighting, nobody wanting to commit too much just yet, because they know the third and fourth parties are coming.
But you can see that Cerberus ain't budging. They're set up here, up close. They're not wanting to allow for anyone to flank around, because they know there are teams behind them still. They know they have a Genji that should be completely untouched, and they do not know how aggressive they're planning on playing. We know they're more passive, but Cerberus don't. So you can see Himas in the minimap there. He's constantly looking towards that western side. He has to be ready for potential push through from Genji.
Meanwhile, we've got good old T5 and question mark like, yeah, guys, just keep on fighting in the hillside. Forget about us weekend over here. It's perfectly fine. Sonic's now starting to move in, seeing if they can get more out of it, but that means that the duo from Cerberus now coming in from the north is going to be a little bit more pinched into this. Daytrade have walked right into a thick position, and they are just going to get pulled apart here. There is nothing they could do.
This is going to be absolute chaos in just a moment, with Tyloo now being able to wrap around Cerberus as well. They've not been shot at by third on 5, and therefore it's gone unnoticed. So the eyes of Cerberus that they are down here. Himas though, prime nade lopped on over. It's going to take down Shrimsy. Look at this, 11 kills for Sonics, 9 already for Cerberus. These two teams are out for blood.
H1's got to be careful with these peaks. He's already built Mott's going for the spray and narrowly makes it back behind, but with the combined efforts, that's a nice double tap from both sides of this one. Now Tickleton's got to realize, okay, do we go for it or not? We leave it alone. Genji's coming up back behind him, and suddenly Sonics, what you just did to Daytrade's about to be what happens to you, but that's going to be a unified Cerberus standing up against him. Hamas lines into one, but finally Mime spots out what's going on with Genji, and this is just chaos. Sonics out. How much more of a push do we see come up from Genji?
Genji gets the double in very, very good fashion. Slow moves, tree to tree, bush to bush. Don't aggress if you don't have to. But now with opponents right ahead of them, might as well take the shot. Now PO does get knocked, so they will have to try and reset. But Cerberus, we know they're not a team to sit around and wait this one out. They want to go and fight them in return, and they know that they have the numbers advantage.
But they're so nervous. They know the back. Tyler's back behind him. Moss unlocks this firefight. Sure, go for your res on a PO. We're going to go ahead and for the fight on the opposing side of it. Tycon now starting to lead the way with Isaki, but they're walking close range up against Genji. PO playing the outside of smoke. He's going to go down. EJ defensive, but PO's going to go down again. Cerberus walks into the smokes, believes in their firefighting, and they are rocking it.
And just when you thought they were about to fall apart, here comes Tycon, one of the powerhouse players of the team. Wraps around the side, spots taming down to low HP, has to go for the reload low. Fortunately, the smokes are there working in his favor. Finds one more as he swings the corner, and now it's just EJ left alive. Does Tycon get the first aid off? Does the smoke fade away before this one comes to a close? No! The nade on point as Tyloo from the east finds one, finds two, clean sweeps the south, and then wraps their way up north. They were patient. They sat back. They waited it out, and now they find themselves in the top 3.
Tyloo, oh, the moving factor now is they are sitting on them nice, comfy 5 kills, but the other two teams heavily fortified, looking at a 3v2v2, but really Tyloo's the one that's got so much information in this, right? They've just been bouncing around, keeping an eye on everything.
I just can't, I mean, the fact that these 4 players have sat here literally since phase 2 and be like, we can hear that Armageddon is happening over this hill. If we just stare into a wall, maybe no one will think we're part of it, because we just eliminated 6 teams in literally a circle shift, and now you have Dante, Best of Luck, Thanatot, and Pathanbong sat here going, guys, I think we need something.
I just have like the Jurassic Park like mindset coming up when they do like the T-Rex box up and they're just like, don't move and they won't see us. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. Dante, though, has himself at least the information to see how Tyloo is wrapping in. T5 kind of unofficially assisting question mark's position as well, given the fact that they're running a 1-1 split, kind of puts them a bit closer to Tyloo's line.
I think with Tyloo now having just crept their way inside the circle with Longs being sat there, I mean, they know there are only so many places a position can be. The thing is, Tyloo has been
100% focused on the east, and they're still worried that there could potentially be players in and around the forest area to that south side. Because of how chaotic it was up here, I don't think they have the lay of the land of the exact kill feed track, because how chaotic it was. They're playing it slow, they're playing it smart, but once they realize they're the only ones here, they're going to wait at least for another 25 seconds and see if that last circle goes out of the compound.
And we're seeing the impact of emergency pickups right here. T5.
Definitely.
Tyloo, we saw them come in just a moment ago with it. And so now managed to get past a lot of those hurdles, get to the positions that they wanted to play from, and managed to make it into the end game.
I mean, if Tyloo wins this game off of hot dropping Petrichor Road mid three-wave fight, that is as deserved as they come. They were wise on their timing and the push on the eastern side as well. Normally they've gone full aggro in the past, but here they knew to hold back, they knew to wait it out, because like they could have gone for an extra couple of kills, but they would have risked them too. Here they say, let's just save that one extra kill and make sure that we keep our 3 players up instead.
And I mean, this is kind of what we're looking at for the circle,
They have
right?
to come down.
Tyloo knows that they need to move down into this fortified line. The hillside doesn't have the best of cover to really work with, so Tyloo's taking this a lot slower, trying to use the hillsides, trying to use the trees as they can, but they don't want to burn a lot of utility. Bit of it, though, is the fact that Tyloo has been bouncing a lot from firefight to firefight, and they should be decently looted. Yeah, I mean, look at the ammo that we're looking on versus 2 teams that have been entrenched for, what, 4 circles now?
Half the loot on the map lies in this forest. I mean, on various crates. They've like every loot from all the big cities on the entire map has been brought into that forest. So I'd be surprised if you'll be seeing Tyloo players without utility at this point. They better have looted up because they've had the time to. But here we go. Smoke's being deployed. I would be surprised if they crash all the way into the compound now. Use the trees for cover. Block your Kai into one. Maybe they have a deployable shield for that extra ankle block as well. Play this one slow, because even in the compound, you still can't see exactly what buildings your opponents are in.
I really like this. Just be slow with it. They've got the utility. They know that. Whenever you're moving into a fight into this position, you have to assume. Remember, we saw them fly over, so they know that there was a firefight happening here earlier. So these squads are likely weak. Instead, just kind of use the war of attrition in your favor at this stage. I mean, look at the ammo on the opposite side of it. Dante running a 4th. What we saw one of the players from Tyloo running.
Now, while they're on 5 has the dot and therefore the best position, they're split in each their building, and if either of the 2 gets knocked here, there is no way they get each other back up. So at least for question mark, should Dante get knocked on the roof, best of luck. I mean, you could crawl back down on the other side, that being if he does it fast enough, and best of luck get him up. But the circle is closing in. They're going to have to leave the building eventually. I'd be surprised if they've used a lot of their smokes here. We're seeing 7 smokes in total on 3rd on 5. Ooh, nice use of that smoke grenade launcher. He wants to get it up in the building so he can block off the angle completely.
Shotguns could be big at this stage.
Huge.
So we'll have to see how it comes. As they're not going to have the easiest vision in what's going to be going on with Tyloo and as they make their approach. But Tyloo, again, slow, steady. Tree, step down into it. Dante realizing I can't even take that many shots into what's going on. I need to conserve for the firefight that's going to happen. Blue zone nade not going to get quite far enough to take them out. But question mark still slow creeping up into this one. And with this firefight now going to happen, that's just even a bigger beneficiary for Tyloo.
A lot of damage done, but as you said, that blue zone nade just short. Best of luck now, though, with the smokes deployed, able to get all the way up towards Thanatot. Both of them down to low HP, and Thanatot gets him down with the burst shotgun. We'll see if he can find more with it. The pump action, that is, sorry, as he creeps on down once again. Nade on point, and now a 3v2. They still have the dot. It's on Tyloo to get into the building, but they know that they have them split.
Yeah, I mean, they can just sit there and wait, pick up a kill here, or just know the fact that this person gets fed over to the blue zone, and then it's a 1v3. Tyloo has all of the cards in their favor right now. It's just a matter of how much they want.
The jammer pack comes out handy as he gets down one Thanatot. You know you're in a 1v2. It's not going to be easy, but if you wait for too much longer, it's going to be a 1v3. They have to come to him. They know where they have him. Longs is blind for a second, but as you can see here, at least the first 3 takes are going to go their way, and in the end, Xiaoyang will bring it home. Not a flashy game from Tyloo, but they knew what to do. They flew in, they knew when to engage, and they get themselves a 7-kill win.
Dude, they emergency picked up into the middle of a hot drop and they've like fought other 3 teams. I think it was still flashy enough in the mid-game.
Fair.
They can take that and use the momentum from that to be like, okay, look, let's just play this one clean.
Great decision making from start to finish from Tyloo as they come out victorious, but for both Sonics and for Cerberus, harvesting the forest to the best of their ability. Pop-off games for them there too.
I mean, this is just 2 millibases back-to-back means the fact that we're starting to now see how people can just stretch out into a very dangerous mid-game. And that's been kind of the uncomfortable situation for our teams to have to kind of deal with right now, is you haven't even come into this stage yet with a chance to have pretty much a way to even land at your normal drop and looting position.
Yeah.
Think about it.
It's been, at least the last game here, very brutal in terms of playing path. We'll see as we head on over to Taco after this one how things are going to pan out. We didn't see any hot drops here in the first one. Maybe, who knows, we'll see something as we head on over there. And on Miramar, where we'll finish off the last 3 games today as well.
There is, yeah, I know, I can't wait. If this is the way we're starting off with Erangel as we're moving into the highlights, I cannot wait to see what's going to be going on Miramar.
No, it's going to be phenomenal. And I like the fact that the game realized, you know what, we didn't give them any melee games in the group stage. Let's give them back-to-back ones here. And also, despite the fact that they finished off in pretty similar, in pretty much just 100 meters apart from one another, they played out very differently.
Look on the mini-map right now and how just crazy this is at this stage. Tyloo lands over that, moves into the north. And then from then on, this positional coming out from Sonics is really good. Understanding that this is how pathing's going to be right into that trench. It's the safe approach from a vehicle.
And the thing is, Tyloo, I think it was very clear to see their plan was come into that compound. They saw what Danawa saw when they came in. No cars, let's claim it. They just didn't know that Therodon 5 was already in the spot. So very nice, like last second audible to go, oh no, you know how they go like almost completely sideways with the parachute sometimes? Get across the street, get in the forest over there, because there's a mega fight happening right here.
It's up there. Tyloo got to see the fact that there was like a firefight happening. They heard all the stuff that was going on and was like, no. First team that jumped in just jumped literally in from the fire, right?
Yeah.
From the frying pan into the fire kind of situation.
Nice backfield there as well. But now let's hop over to the stage, over to an interview with Barney and Sandstorm.
Welcome back to the main stage. It is day 1 of the winners bracket. We're joined by James from FaZe Clan. James, an amazing opening map. We've got to say, it really has been strong so far. Now, tell us what you guys have been working on since, group stage coming into today. It's obviously only been 24 hours, but what was kind of the focal point of your practice?
Not much really. When we had bad games, we've just been shrugging them off. We just acknowledge our mistakes and we try to not do them again. Obviously, we made a mistake here in game 2, so that didn't work. But yeah, that's just what we do. We just shrug them off, go next.
What do you think like the best attribute of you guys is? Do you think it's like your in-game communication? What do you think it is? Is it just like that you're all just really good fraggers? What would you kind of hone in on?
I think we got a really good mix here. We have like me and Gustav doing the in-game leading. We have Fex doing kill feed, and he's amazing at that. And Corexi is just like insane at killing people. So it just works out really easily for us because Fex has full kill feed knowledge in game 1. We know exactly who's where, and it makes our decision making very simple.
Yeah. Well, next up you've got Tago, and you're yet to kind of surpass a top 10 finish. So, kind of, what are you going to change? What's been preventing you from claiming those chicken dinners on Tago?
Tago has actually been one of our strongest maps back in Europe, but here we've had 2 bad games. So, I mean, I think we just played those 2 games poorly. We could have played them better. I think we'll just try again, and we'll see what happens.
برحب فيكم اعزائي المشاهدين وبنرحب في جيمس من فريق فيز كلان بالمقابله بعد مباراتنا الثانيه وحبينا ناخذ رايه بسؤالين على السريع. بدايه قويه جدا في الوينرز براكت بعد ما حصلوا وينر تشيك دينر في مباراتنا الاولى، لكن حبينا نساله ايش التغييرات اللي اشتغلوا عليها بين مرحله الجروب ستيج ومرحله الوينرز براكت، وما كان فيها التغييرات الكبيره. المهم بتطلعوا على الاغلاط اللي بيعملوها في كل مباراه، بتعلموا منهم وعلى طول عم بيتحركوا للخطوه الجايه للمباراه الجايه. وغير هيك حبينا نساله انه ايش بيكون تركيز كل واحد من اللعيبه او ايش بيكونوا الشغلات اللي عم بيشتغلوا عليها. بيكون مثلا هو واحد كمان من اللعيبه بيشتغلوا على التحركات والكو اي جي ال، في عندهم 2 بيكونوا شغالين بنفس الوقت. بيكون في عندكم اللاعب فاكس اللي بيكون مركز على الكل فيد، بيعرف بالضبط وين بيكونوا كل اللاعبين موجودين، مين الفرق اللي تم اقصائهم، وبالضبط من هاي الحركات ومن هاي المعلومات بيعرفوا وين يتحركوا. وبخصوص سؤالنا الثالث والاخير، نروح على خريطة تايجو بما انه هي الخريطة الجاية. حبينا نسأله ايش الغلطات اللي عملوها بسبب انه ما اخذوا غير توب 10 اعلى مركز حصلوه في خريطة تايجو. رده كان انه هي تعتبر اكبر خريطة واقوى خريطة لهم في تصفيات الاقليم الاوروبي، لكن غلطوا مرة ولا مرتين في اخر مباراتين، لكن حيحاولوا يركزوا على المباريات الجاية وبدهم يحاولوا يطلعوا بتشيكن دينر في المباراة الجاية. نشكرك يا جيمس على المقابلة وعلى تواجدك معنا، وبنتمنى لك التوفيق في باقي المباريات، وبنرجع للاستوديو خلال ثواني بسيطة.
Sandstorm never fails to impress me with that. absolutely amazing. Right, James, thank you so much for chatting to us after the game. What were you going to say?
He's a rap god.
He really is a rap god, isn't he? It's incredible. So thank you so much for joining us in the interview. It's always great to chat with you, and best of luck with the remainder of the day in the winners bracket. Thank you so much. And with that, we're going to send it back over to the desk to continue our winners bracket day 1.
That's right, Mill is so nice. We got it twice. We've got ourselves here another win on the board down the line for Tyloo of all teams, without Shen, who was taken out early here, but they're still able to produce the goods here. Joining me, Avenger, to talk about this one. Tyloo, man, still on the tirade.
Yeah, something I didn't have on my bingo play. Tyloo winning a game without Shen having any kills or any impact, because of course he got picked off. Man of the match here, of course, Yao Yang, 4 kills. 200 damage, very efficient with that. A lot of steals, maybe some last hits coming in. But then again, a turnaround for them, that's what we really look at. When we have these the back-to-back zones, like back-to-back military, right?
Yeah.
Is definitely a case for this. But yeah, the man of the match by Kadir here, Yao Yang, and the match leaderboard. Just finishing up here, them being able to, go from getting completely torn apart in the first game to then go and win here. The huge difference in that is super important for them to improve on from game to game. And look, the same circles.
Yeah, and looking at the match leaderboard here, we still see Cerberus able to put up numbers. They were on an absolute barn burner as well. 17 points.
And 5 teams on double digits here. That's like super insane here. Overall leaderboard, Cerberus still in the very top. It's shaking up a little bit, but still it's just 2 games down to go, and we of course have 12 in total.
Well, it's going to be close up towards the top still though, because teams are getting a lot of kill points, but not being able to get some placement points here and there.
Right.
Sonics, of course, looked fantastic in this game as well on another Blazer.
They popped off again, and the way they're able to defend in general, how they're able to play in like terrain, take advantage of that, winning their 1v1s, winning their fights there, super impressive. And so yeah, I'm really having high hopes for them, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely, considering what they were able to show here as well. And I think for a lot of North America's fans, looking at them trying to get something going, very, very important to see them do well. Of course, you can check in with Doritos, Instagram.com/Doritos Arabia as well, which are always yummy and tasty. I haven't had Doritos for a while, but I think I'm going to go grab some after this.
Yeah, I love Doritos.
Yum, yum, yum. Yeah. And also, as well as if you want to slice through the competition, you've got yourself Razor to thank for that if you're able to do so. Check them out at Razor Mina over on the Instagrams, and you'll be able to potentially pick yourself up some goodies along the way here. So before we actually move on to the break here as well, Avenger, I've got to say, really 2 varied military games in terms of results here. But again, teams are not going to extract a whole lot from this because it's a little bit unusual to have this much military presence this early. Erengel's going to be different probably in the upcoming games.
And you can see how teams were approaching it differently. As you pointed out yourself as well in the green room, like there's so many teams still on North. It ended up being, because of some emergency pickups, Danawa coming in late, Falcon seeing an emergency pickup on Danawa, and they're like, we're going to try to get some points out of this. And Danawa, they landed with low HP, so landed with like 20 HP and got taken down immediately from 3rd and 5 because of that, right? So it's some rough situations. The military always have these kind of curveballs thrown at you but if you're able to do well, of course, here, Cerberus getting a lot of points, Jiang doing well too.
Yeah, all right, well, thank you very much, Avenger. Here we are going to a break. When we return, more from PGS2, and it's time to Tego after this break.
وانت مستمتع وتلاقي الوجبة جاية على الأصول. واو يجيك العيش هش طالع من الأوفن والدجاج يقرمش just the way I love it. وتسوي كده وتسوي كده وتسوي كده مع الحشمة وانت بغراب خفيفة جيب تويستر. انا اجيب لي وجبة الزنقة بس كله يجيب اكسترا تشيز على الكرانشي تشيكن في السنتر. حطلب باكت حطلب زنقة حطلب مايتي حطلب تويستر. جيب له باكت جيب له زنقة جيب له الأصلي جيب له تويستر. Delicious. Yeah, yeah.
There is a place where you can elevate what's hidden inside, where you can reframe yourself. Sonomi means the new you. The you can step into. Because when we know who we really are, we become unstoppable. Enter new dimensions of you. Sonomi.
Honor 90. Capture ultra clear detail with a 200 megapixel camera. Care for your eyes with risk-free dimming display. Honor 90. Share your vibe. Open your eyes.
When you look into my eyes, tell me what do you see?
Tonight I'm gonna show you the wonders of the mall.
Hey, I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to lose.
I need warriors.
So is this what you wanna be? You wanna walk? Show me what's up, then. Now we ready to bust in. Take everything. Take everything. Leave 'em with nothing. حتاكل انت تشبع وانت مستمتع وتلاقي الوجبة جاية على الأصول. واو يجيك العيش هش طالع من الأوفن والدجاج يقرمش just the way I love it. وتسوي كده وتسوي كده وتسوي كده مع الحشمة وانت بغراب خفيفة جيب تويستر. انا اجيب لي وجبة الزنقة بس كله يجيب اكسترا تشيز على الكرانشي تشيكن في السنتر. حطلب باكت حطلب زنقة حطلب مايتي حطلب تويستر. جيب له باكت جيب له زنقة جيب له الأصلي جيب له تويستر. Delicious. Yeah, yeah.
is a place where you can elevate what's hidden inside, where you can reframe yourself. Sonomi means the new you. The you can step into. Because when we know who we really are, we become unstoppable. Enter new dimensions of you. Sonomi.
All new Honor 90. Capture ultra clear detail with a 200 megapixel camera. Care for your eyes with risk-free dimming display. Honor 90. Share your vibe.
الحياة لحن، ولأننا جزء من مقطوعة عظيمة تحركنا، تلمسنا، تصنع من لحظاتنا ذكريات بديعة. لأن الوجبة، التجربة، المغامرة، حياتك بعد جديد في هيلتون الرياض.
Chaos commenced on Erangel as we headed to military base and back
back-to-back games. But now we take our eyes over to Taco as the winners bracket continues. Yeah, I'm Toby, joined by Matrim. And in just a short moment, Matt, we're gonna see these teams play their way through Taco. And our winners of last game, Tyloo, oh, they've been looking pretty hot on that map too.
Yeah, I mean, we were just joking going into this one. Hey, at least it's not military base, but as you pointed out, hey, there is technically a military base on it, so you never know. We'll have to see how the circles come into this one play. As we're looking in, consistency in kills feels like a big thing that we're going to be kind of keeping an eye on throughout the day. Is with the circles being this cruel, finding a way to make sure that you can at least keep your points per game average up is going to be big. Like we were looking back into it, Cerberus, not the best first game, but still managed to pick up 6 kills, went out at 15th, but then managed to follow that back up with a 5th place and 14 kills. It's been the kills that have been balancing back out. Same thing for FaZe, right? Yeah. First and 10 kills, and then 15th and 0. You got to be focused on your points per games as far as the series is going to be going.
And that's what we were talking about before. 2 military games, sure, but they played out very, very differently. But now we are headed on over to Taco, one of 2 Tacos that will be played here in these winners bracket matches. So here we go. We saw just briefly before one salute screen that it is a very fair playing path, pretty much, honestly, as fair as can be on Taco.
Unless you're like kind of a shipyardy team, but even then you can still kind of make it over.
Still stretch. Yeah.
Like I find in Tago there's not really too much unless we get one of those crazy plane paths that was very far south like we got in the last one, right? Looking out, we'll have to see. As I don't know, the circles have been mean with what between military bases today, hard shifts being predominant and back-to-back like opposing side hard shifts, specifically in the mid game. Specifically also on Tago have been making it very, very difficult for our teams to deal with.
Now, I am hoping that we won't see any hot drops because while you can do all those crazy things in the group stages, winners bracket, you want to be able to get space, get looted on up, and then keep on going on your day. But I was over talking to the players in the arena prior to the matches starting today, and I kind of figured, wait, why are there so many of the coaches kind of maneuvering around between the different team booths and what's going on here? And then I just kind of called off my ear saying, teams are changing spots, and all of a sudden I realized, wait, 6 teams have started talking about whether it's just rumor spreading. As a coach, you have to be ready for it, right? 6 teams around the same time, just 1 hour before the game started, we're talking about changing their loot spots, and that's going to play a huge factor. But as we're seeing here, there ain't really any commotion early on outside of Lil Ghost trying to get some early damage in on Na'Vi, but seems like Uber will be safe as the circle heads east.
No military base, no craziness, much more comfortable, but in just the thick of everything, I want to point out the fact that we do have a pretty decent stack of rice patties that are going to be inside this one. This is going to be pretty open. For those of you not the most familiar with Tago, roughly imagine Gatka Fields whenever you're looking at them, but with more recesses that you can kind of play and get cover behind.
Exactly, because I was going to say Gatka Fields, I don't think does the Tago Rice Fields justice, because I've actually seen a couple of endgames in and around the Rice Fields that as soon as you get compounds out of play, as soon as you get some of that high ground elevation out of play where one team can just sit and overlook the entire thing, once everyone goes, okay, it's Rice Fields time, it actually proves to be some pretty fun end games you get out of it.
You just got to make sure you get the hills out of it, because if one team gets the hills and everybody else is in the rice paddies, not going to be a good day.
But that's yet another good balance thing on Taco is that you don't have those same mega elevations that we see on the likes of Miramar and whatnot, and Orankle too to some extent. It's much more leveled out, which means that for the most part, open field areas will be more playable, especially in and around those rice fields. There are, of course, plenty of open barren wastelands on Tago too, but all maps have to kind of have that. And look at this, top kills so far, back-to-back Cerberus players. People were worried if there was just going to be a group stage fluke for some of these APAC teams, but Cerberus, they've come in and said, you know what, we did well in group stage, we're going to pop the head off in winners too.
Being immediately followed by some Sonics players as well. I know there were some eyes drawn to them about some of their performances moving in from the group stage into this bracket, but they had a phenomenal game yesterday, or a phenomenal day yesterday, we should say. So looks like they are definitely coming in with that momentum, with that gusto, even though H1 did have to live some solo lifestyle for a while.
I mean, they came off, as I said, they come off of their last Taco game being a win. Now, the only issue is they're very far from the circle. Last game winner was off of a emergency pickup. We'll see if that's what Sonics are going to do, because not only do they have to backfill the likes of half the server, but they also will have to cross a bridge somewhere.
We're looking at pretty much the center of the circle right now, where we've got FaZe 17 as well as the Expendables. the usual suspects already do centered up, and we were talking about the struggles of teams that like to play edge right now. Well, look at it. Look at the leaderboard. Look at the teams that are already centered, and realize the fact that that's why it's going on. The teams that are finding ways to get center, manipulating them well, and doing a good job of controlling it are the ones that are handling the leaderboard, which is weird because our points per game averages in previous years have been mostly based off of edge play.
Yeah, it sure is. And now while Luminosity is rotating on forward, I'm a little interested in following what we saw the start of the Na'Vi rotation just before, because we saw and heard Little Ghost from 17 Gaming shooting and Uber as he left, but I'm not sure if Na'Vi is maybe expecting 17 to have positioned differently in and around the terminal area, because they are wrapping straight in their direction currently. Maybe just regrouping a bit of where they are, but they're getting very close to 17 very early on in the game here, so it could potentially be some early fights happening. In yesterday's takeover matches, we didn't see the first kill come through until plus 10 minutes. So who knows, maybe with teams centering up, as you were saying, so much so early, that could be different here.
See Danoa making their rotation as Jinji watches it in passing. EJ just going to feed that in.
Yeah.
Only team that's even remotely near them is going to be Danoa, so not too much to be afraid of. Falcons, though, has a different problem, as they're about to run right by FaZe, as they want that centered position, but they've got FaZe on one side, Cerberus on the other. Gonna bypass that, but let's not be done yet, because FaZe is running a split, and that split's also gonna be right next to 17 Gaming. So Falcons need to find somewhere to stop pretty quick, otherwise this is not gonna be a good rotation.
They sure are threading the needle, because as you were saying, they're coming in between a lot of teams. Good thing is, with all the bullet holes in their cars, they're gonna be able to go out and say, great, so there's a guy there, there was a guy there, there was a guy there, and well, yeah, we're surrounded, because that's essentially what they are, and I'm a little worried that now that they had their foot, like their path on in, it's not gonna be easy to get out, but you called the FaZe split, and seems like Falcons is coming to punish.
They just send it straight into it, but the defensive line holds. Krex is going to go ahead and get one. Silzen, though, is going to go ahead and make sure that he's going to go down off of it. He's going to be picked up on the postal side. Krex is going to have to step away from it. This is just a duo holding up as Falcons just get ripped apart from everywhere. And now FaZe coming in, it's just a full regroup, and this is just done for them.
Corexi found the first three. They do lose Gustav. That's, of course, unlucky, but Corexi and Gustav bought enough time for FaZe to regroup in this position. What a hold. What a standoff here, as they were able to defend this spot. They only get 2 kills off of it, but that's just, again, showing how many teams are already in this area to claim those points off of them.
And that is scary. I mean, running a 2-2 split, centered, a full 4-man just crashes into you. Corexi just doing massive work there to keep his team in this.
Despite the fact that Falcons die, great read on their part too. They're getting shot at from pretty much all angles possible and still read. Wait, there's only 2 cars here. We might actually be able to pull up on this. They do. Execution, not so well, but also while they didn't do well, Corexi played those angles to perfection.
Tactics only get you so far. Eventually, the gunplay is going to be the secondary factor for it, and Corexi just read it. I mean, just so clean. Most of our teams inside the circle right now, oddly enough, really just centered up, pretty comfy. Day Trade's doing a really wide split out, but they'll get in the circle. They've got one player that's presently over the next to Busatsa, and then they have another one that's all the way over at prison.
I'm loving what we're seeing from D+. The way that they got them, their highest point came off of them just full speed sending a Cinder and Tego, holding on the fort in a dip and just stayed there. Now they're going into the exact same spot that we saw Falcons die from just before. The issue is they're running past teams time and time again. They're literally following the exact footsteps of the Falcons, or tire tracks, I should say. Good thing for FaZe is they don't have to defend once again, because they're going in another direction, straight into 17 Gaming.
I mean, you gotta do what you can. Jumps out, Zenith at least gets the down. You can see going for the flush, like, okay, this is going wrong. Let's at least try to get a point out of it.
Yeah.
We do see a separated 17 running similar to what we saw come up with FaZe. Issue is, 17 couldn't quite get the same defensive line that FaZe did. Now it's all slowed down. Regroup is coming out from 17, but you gotta give it. He is doing a good job on surviving in this one.
And we talked about it before, 17 having Na'Vi right behind him. There's a nade coming through. You can already see Alia in the minimap on the left-hand side. Expendables starting to flex in this direction too. If this fight doesn't come to a close fast, it's going to be difficult for them to maintain their footing. And just like that, Little Ghost gets knocked. They already have Sushu out, and they have Xiaowu knocked as well. Na'Vi might just want to fully commit on a proper pull-up here, because they're going to get a good compound out of it, and they're going to take out one of the main threats in the center of this circle. But with only Alia and Melman here, how much does Na'Vi dare risk to claim this compound?
I mean, this
and mortars.
Yeah, you can hear the mortars at range coming in. We're going to have to be careful as we're watching this one. Given how open this could potentially be, too, you can see a lot of teams are having to start to commit. They've got buildings for now, but it's not going to stay that way.
Yeah.
So mid-game mortars are probably going to be a feature we're going to be hearing pop off.
It's not the first time we see Danova and Gen.G run into one another. Gen.G continuing their wrap around the northern side, and Danova again. I mean, it's not that they didn't finish off with flying colors yesterday, but the start to the tournament wasn't too strong for them. And as we were talking about earlier, they've been under the weather. Some of them not feeling too well today, so playing things a little more slow, a little more cautious up here to the north, and maybe, just maybe that's going to result in a fight between them and Gen.G.
This is a very cautious setup coming out from Gen.G. I mean, they got Tainment so far up to the north, making sure that nobody does a wrap back around Yongcheon. So it's just more a, let's play this for safety. I would say that if Danova even goes for any directed shots in, they're just probably going to step it back and retreat.
And the only threat that would be, I mean, we know that they don't, the only threat that could be a team pulling up on them over a bridge, well, they're right here. Theraton 5 is going 3 for 3 on emergency pickups so far today. We'll see how many games in a row they managed to keep that streak going. But where, oh where, my dear friends, are you planning on going? Because that circle center is very occupied.
It's been going okay. They are presently just straight up tied in. There's 3 other teams holding down 14 as the circle is going to pop. And while they're going to be in the air, they're just going to go ahead and cut. And it looks like they might be looking more into that question mark. Like, no, I think that they actually see the building that they want to go to, and it is open. So
they came in with the circle popping, and now they're seeing a compound with no one in it. But as you're saying too, Petrichor wrapping in this direction. So who gets there first, the cars or the parachutes? It's going to be fun to see as now Summer and Chewy realizing that they're late to the party. And this, my friends, is a perfect showcase of how to use the emergency pickup. You've got to be early, you've got to be smart, you've got to lock up those compounds with no cars in them. A little scary in this area because it is a warehouse. They could have parked their car smartly. And I think that's something we're going to see more of in the future too. Teams playing reactive to the potential of pickups coming through. Park those cars safe and be smart about it, but pre-nades locked on through. That's Na'Vi are denied on entry.
That is just a catastrophe. Now, was trying to hold it. He's going to go down. Mel playing the outside of this one, just the last one up. No real winners in this situation. You can see 17 still already down 2.
Wow.
You're going to be able to pick up Na'Vi, pick up those kills, but that's kind of what they've been feasting off of, right? Everybody's just been coming to them, and I mean, still, even if they do go out 8 points already, that's a pretty decent game.
It's a gameplay mechanic that I feel like it's been a while not in the making, but in the proper perfecting, the pre-nades that is, and we've seen it for the last, I would say, better part a year and a half of how teams have just perfected reading the timing on teams trying to make their way on through. And Xiaobei lops 2-1-0, but that's 3 Na'Vi players down. And just like that, just Mel left alive.
I cannot wait. I keep waiting to see it, but I want to see somebody do the pre-cooked nade, throw it over, and then immediately follow it with the blue zone nade as somebody's jumping outside of their vehicles and just watch the catastrophe.
I mean, we saw Pixel with a pretty good showcase of what happens when you combine blue zone nades and frags yesterday. But of course, it wasn't I mean, it was on a pull-up, but it wasn't. Okay, the only difference to what you just said and what I'm saying is it didn't take place outside.
I was more like throwing it over the wall right as soon as they're making the crash.
Okay, fair.
Bye, Sloop.
Yeah, he's gonna leave. All of Gen.G, are they on the hunt here? They might just be low-key. Falls down. Danova now for the 3rd game in a row are taking casualties early on. They've had some individual performances that have kept their score pretty high. First game it was Loki, able to rag up points, and then Salute had a good performance in the second one. But now Loki is down early once again.
Gen.G looks like they're going to have to send EJ out of the safe zone, going off into a different direction. Sonics also managed to find themselves a pathing into this that's just going to be to the southwest of what we were just looking at a moment ago. Nearest friends are going to be them and TE, as the compound where everybody is scrapping at still has Mel and 17 over there. That's going to be to the southwest of them.
It's going to be interesting to see for how long this river is going to be in play. With Phase 4 shifting away from the open waters, it's not all of the river here that it's going to shift away from necessarily. And we do know that if there's an area you don't want to be caught, an open area that you don't want to play in unless if you absolutely have to, that is down in and around those riverbanks, especially around the shallow river to the eastern side, because it is just open.
And if we see a shift hard east like that, we already have we actually have QM and Petrichor Road full defended up. Look at that creek, river, whatever you want to call it, that's cutting through. If you got a path through that, It's just, I know we make the joke about fish in a barrel. That's about as close to it as you can get.
And if we end there, it's going to be even worse than C. Well, I mean, that's
I am very, very sorry, LG, Cerberus, Day Trade. I did that to you. My bad. Good luck, and
we'll see.
It's fun.
We'll see how far away we shift. Right now, it's right on the top. And of course, Tai Lu is going to group up on 755, and Xiaoyang makes perfect sense. Day Trade are going to backfill, but we're in an area of the map now where there's very little to utilize. A lot of open stretches, and for the likes of Question Mark and Petrichor are the only teams on that eastern shore. They're going to have a field day looking towards the west. Issue is Day Trade is trapping on the southern side. Danoa is trying to flex out on the north. They're quickly getting surrounded.
But at the same time, it was they were trying to regroup and fortify. Danoa was trying to make the push into where we see Petrichor Road at. You can see 17 trying to make the cross through. Remember Mel a moment ago that just sent it in just a few seconds beforehand. He's going to stop, gets those shots on 17. Looks like the push coming out from Danoa is going pretty well. Well, it was going pretty well.
It was going pretty well. He gets the double. Does that mean Anonix pulls up on this too? They have 2 knocks in the building. It's still doable. It's a 1v2, and unluckily for Anonix, he's down to under half HP, so I think he's going to have to skip this one. And once again, I mean, while they did have individual performances, I guess with Salute and Loki having had their individual games now, it's Anonix's turn.
And look, we've got a party on the hillside. Even Day Trade is there. As Flash is going to be moving up closer to QM. I will say that the beneficiary for all of these teams that moved in onto that western bank as they were trying to come in was the fact that QM tried to regroup at roughly the same time, and FaZe is airborne right now. It looks like they could be jumping in along Day Trade sidelines.
Day Trade has no clue that two players, I should say, are currently flying over them on the far eastern side. Pushus, he's running around, but I don't think he's going to hear anything until right now when the parachutes land. Very, very iconic sound, and he should be well aware that he is now surrounded as he sits down completely spilled. But did FaZe see him? Well, there's your answer. They know exactly where they have him, and there's none of the other Day Trade players around to help defend.
Ooh, that was almost an amazing nade there. Forced him at least out of that. You can see he has no idea what's going on. The rest of the Day Trade really can't commit back in because they don't want to surrender this position. Exactly. It's so good for the later stages of this game, as that is going to be Na'Vi going out. If they go move to support what's going on with FaZe in the solo, they lose the potential in-game position that they want to fight for. So no, they just have to leave him alone. Puchus is on his own.
And if you guys are confused, yes, you saw it right. It was Fix that killed Na'Vi, meaning that FaZe are literally playing each side of the circle right now. They have James and they have Corexi far out as east as you can possibly get on this one, and Fex is sat on the other side about a kilometer away from his teammates. So we'll see if this wide phase 3 split can somehow work out for them.
Screw the creek. We don't want to be contending with that. Just jump on opposite sides, get kills, right? Points per game average, what you're going to be looking at. Puchus looks like he just wants to get out. Even if he does manage to get out, it's, I mean, it's not even the worst for phases. They're just trying to harass in. Circle about to pop.
Yep, Belmont is there to try and help suppress Circles. Shifts towards the western side. And Fex is going, guys, why did you leave? We were in a perfect spot here. And
I told you this was the place to be.
Exactly. I knew this was where we had to go. But not to be. Hopefully for them, they have a second emergency pickup they can utilize. In the meantime, now the new damage was done onto Pushields. More damage being done now from Flash outside as the entire team is doing everything they can to help Pushields get away from here.
Just such great defense coming up from Flash supporting. Pucci's playing this opposite side means the fact that he is technically in a 2v2, not a 2v1. Just not a comfy range inside of Corexi. Try to step out. You see, gets punished. Has to retreat, and this is just really well done. The problem is it's taking so long, so Day Trade, they need to get in the circle, but they can't. And finally taking down James opens up something for him.
And all these shots are being heard by Cerberus, who have just wrapped the entire circle to get over here. Now, Pushields does go down, and James might just be able to get back on his feet. Issue is phase 4 is closing in 3 seconds, and you can't get that first aid on up unless if James has a jammer pack on. Does he? Yes, he does. So he might just be able to get rest in phase 4 here.
And they do technically have a vehicle, but really it's about how long Day Trade wants to stay here. Looks like just Flash is staying behind. The other member looks like they're starting to rotate down to the south away from it. And now it's just going to be more about circle control on a very open, recessed hill.
This is actually huge. We've always said that once phase 4 hits, there's no point in trying to rest in the blue because you can't do that anymore. Jammer packs allows you to do just that. And you can see Corexi not in a hurry at all right now. He will get him up eventually. James is dropping equipment, so maybe they say, you know what, it just ain't worth it having 2 players up here. Let's just try and see if Corexi can somehow get to safety. He has 1 med kit, he has 5 first aids as James continues bleeding on out.
You see throwing down the smokes, trying to prep out and get the vehicle ready to go. I do believe that Flash is now also moved, so that should be an easy rotation to make out from this stage as well. We've got Cerberus that needs to make their way down the hillside, but that means that they're going to be open to potential shots from T5. Remember that emergency pickup a second ago? Still paying dividends.
Exactly. Let's see now the Cerberus going. Well, they were sat on the far western side of the circle just before. Now they're on the southeast. Snaker sets up shop, finds Norins. Easy one coming through for him. Did not know what hit him before it was too late in Belmoth. Solo player left for Daytrade is just slowly creeping on in, well aware that he's far behind enemy lines.
This is the dominoes falling from what we saw with that phase separation a moment ago, right? Daytrade had to slow down. They had to try to get everything in. They needed to regroup. They come over here. Now they've lost multiple members. LG gets a free kill out of the situation. Curexy is trying to make his way up the hillside, but you can see there's a problem with that as Cerberus also shifted out in the south. Now it looks like Cerberus and QM might be bumping heads in a moment.
I gotta put him in the car. Gotta bring him with you. Try and get him to safety. Are they just leaving Dogmai behind? I guess so. That's what you get. Well, there's a 1 point at least.
Should have won your fight, man.
Yeah, I suppose so. At least 1 point does go through for Face. We'll see if the rotation can prove for Belmoth. Not going to happen. 755 takes him out. Dogmai will bleed out as well as the circle swings right back down the river.
Cerberus getting heavily rewarded for that. They were trying to send it in. Tyloo's got a full defended position onto him. They haven't managed to make it in safe zone yet, but with those shots, now 755 has to contend with LG, who's trying to carry them back behind this one. Tyloo finds himself suddenly pinched as the circle favors them, but also in the worst of ways, QM spraying down into him. Petrichor Road sees what's going on with 755. It's just a mess for everybody in the south.
Tyloo is trying to flex out and do damage to Cerberus, but Luminosity won't allow that to happen. 755 is there ready to defend, but he has just fallen. So that is that behind defender gone down. Question mark still yet to make an aggressive play. You can see how open this stretch is, but that is a nade on point, and that is going to be Cerberus out.
We are not even close to being done with this. Nonyx is going to go down. 17 Gaming's trying to creep forward, but where we see T5 out, we've got Sonics. We've got TE also needing to make a similar pathing. While this is going to be going on, Shinji making a desperation push up into the area where Petrichor Road's going to be at. While we see all of this coming down, Petrichor Road is defended up. Wasn't expecting the angle that they saw Shinji coming from. Hit a couple of shots, but now Petrichor Road is hoping that these nades can pay up something for him, and they're not going to connect in the way they want.
Once again, a Genji pull-up where Piomi now is here, but was not here at all for the start of this fight. Oh my god, if one nade hits here, that is 3 kills coming through. Do they get away in time? Yes, they do.
Look, the T5 firing line.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine that is just them running from one slaughterhouse straight to another. They pull up, mistime it, and now they try and get away, but they're in the lowlands, they're in the open, they're in the Valley of Death.
This is the circle. You can see what they're driving into right now. There is nothing to be had here. They're having to take these shots, they're having to eat it. They're just trying to find something that they can cower into, but it's the same time that Petrichor Road's moving forward.
Oh my god,
oh my god, the nade's not even going to go the right direction.
He's blocking off the door.
That is just a hot box. There is nothing to be done for Genji.
That is the most insanely well-timed play there. And you know what, Pio? He just denied 1 point. I'm not against that. They were going to get it. They were going to get it. So for the fact that Pio nades himself, whether it be on purpose or not, at least you denied one, because that was easily going to go the other way. Sonic's now full speed forward, trying to get to the circle. Tanvu finds the flush on the double. The stance here from Expendables works out for them, despite them being the ones to have players knocked just before.
Shrimsy all alone and by himself right now, as you can see the 17 duo trying to see if they can maintain being a duo. Tanvu dancing around, multiple members for the Expendables are around him. He spots it out, goes for space. Shrimsy spins it back around, but that's just going to be the information they needed. LG is eyeing into this one, but LG, who's been quiet for quite a while, has such a strong position in the circle.
That flick from Shrimsy was absolutely disgusting.
Shrimsy, man, there's something about whenever he gets down by himself, if you take shots, he is just on edge and can spin so quick.
Tanvu dies because of it too. I feel like even though I have him on my fantasy team, that is a well-rewarded point going Shrimsy's way. What a reaction. What a great transfer in that one from Shrimsy's circle back towards the north. We're bouncing back and forth all the time here and can't really fault teams trying to commit to a side because we just continue going back and forth.
Let's talk about this circle for a second because T5 has a high ground compound looking into a very open creek bed. and a fortified position that everybody else now has to push into.
And how did they get that again? Emergency pickup right down the middle. So last game they got top 3 off of emergency pickuping their way into what turned out to be a chaotic compound. This time around they beat Petrichor to it by literally a second and a half, and now get to reap the rewards.
And now who's on the opposing side of that creek? Oh, it's going to be Petrichor. This is the circle. How do you move into T5's sightlines? The only problem with it is T5 is kind of committed in. They're worried about what's going on with 17, with the expendables, so their eyes are a lot closer focused right now. So if QM is wanting to do anything with Petrichor Road, well, I was going to say they had the opportunity. Petrichor Road's not even going to allow it. They're just going to move over to here, but this is not the best. But
as open and as difficult as these sort of areas look, it's always so fun, because I've never seen a Takeover ending go down towards this river. It's always amazing to see players make the most of something that we kind of deem as being nothing. There are still dips. There are still micro ridge lines that you can use if you're good enough. And that is exactly what these players are. Xiaobei, well, he takes the head off of Stock Shoes as expendables are eliminated.
A very important thing to note is there is like a weird pathing that goes down this hillside. As if we were to look back up to the right where Petrichor Road is from this perspective, there's like kind of similar to what we're looking at now, right? There's a drop off of about 5 feet that a player can technically cling to the safety of for now. And that's one of the reasons why what's going on over here with Petrichor Road and QM is so important. LG's taking shots at a QM. Once QM is gone, this becomes a hillside fight, clinging and trying to avoid what's happening with T5.
Petrichor set up early. They wanted to cross knowing that they had question marks behind, and that's why they parked the cars the way they did. You would imagine when they came, oh my god, they have mortars too.
Oh god.
Wait, who has mortars too? I'm looking at the mortars go down towards Petrichor, but I'm not seeing where they're coming from.
I had to take a wild
guess. It has to be Therodon 5. They were the mortar gods of yesterday's game.
Or LG in their position. They might have some vision on it.
Regardless, this is a brutal timing to get mortars flying, and you're seeing the explosions continue as more of the map is starting to be torn to pieces by the artillery barrages.
17 Gaming now looking in. QM trying to make some more of their rotation. They do get to that wall, but that's going to be it. We're looking at contained fights mostly between QM and Petrichor Road, as well as 17 and LG. Nobody else really getting too involved, as they don't want to step into T5 sideline.
Exactly. Best of luck should be able to get the rest up to 1. And I mean, both Adusi and Filfirst are inside the circle. So a good thing for them is no one is in a spot from where they can flush him. But of course, we all know that one single mortar, and that's death to all of question.
There's that hillside I was talking about. See the path as it navigates through. That's going to be how people are going to try to do something about T5. Yeah, that's about all you got.
Oh, Adusi instantly headshot, and that is going to be the entire team down. And now Petrichor alongside Therodon making sure that Question Mark could not cross. They get the circle once again, and just like that, Petrichor's position is actually looking really solid down below.
17 Gaming at a ridiculous 11 kills, mostly due to those early crashes and the way that they exploited that. But they're still clinging to life. With the 2 members that they had to do a couple of small skirmishes to get into this one. So it looks like that nade is going to come close, but it is going to be enough to at least shoo them away from it.
They're dead.
Oh, follow-up nade hits, and now we're going to get the hillside firefight. It is going to be LG, T5, and Petrichor Road is, I mean, T5, man, they're so comfy cozy.
Really good nade adjustment from Kickstart there as well. Lobs the first one over at where he assumes that they are. Second one, even though he doesn't see them at all or knows whether or not it connects, sends it a bit further towards the right, because you know that would be the direction they would have run in to try and adjust. So nice read by Kick as they try to maneuver their way further in.
I want to point out that the compound that we see T5 playing from, it has a flat section into it before it leads down into that dip. That's one of the reasons why we haven't seen them be too aggressive, because if they step up, they're technically moving into Petrichor Road sightlines. LG's sightlines is, look, see how you can't really step out and look
it's
down?
Difficult for Therodon,
it's very hard to profile into this.
It's very hard for Therodon to get off of this ridgeline and take a fight without being fully exposed to the opponents, no doubt about it. Oh, Snakers, that's a helmet gone for Chewy, no doubt about that one either, as he's unfortunately the isolated player for the team, should be completely done for here.
LG actually has a pretty strong pathing that they can use from this. T5 finally realizing the vulnerabilities of their compound. They have the numbers advantage. They're now going to start playing this more aggressive. But that does also mean that they're kind of sweeping in back behind Petrichor Road. Petrichor Road just, let's be honest, in some trouble. Xlift just has nothing that he can do. He's going to be out from this one. Means that it's going to be the LG sightlines down in the lower ground versus T5 still just trying to get a read on exactly how LG is playing this.
4 versus 3. Therodon 5 got themselves a second place in the previous game. They're here in 3 out of 3 matches with emergency pickups, and now they have themselves a shot at winning this one. Luminosity has been brawling their way through this game. Therodon 5 flew in all kinds of comfort and claimed a compound. Helmus
vests should be in the favor of Therodon 5, and so should utility.
The northern defensive lines are so key inside. Rosted, you can see taking some shots into kickstart.
Yeah.
LG is having to navigate through this one, but again, they have this weird little pathing that they can use to get kind of close to him, but that just puts them in nade range. Remember, T5 hasn't been in the thick of the fighting. They should still have a very large amount of their utility moving into this firefight, whereas look, LG has been much more open.
Exactly.
Oh, so smart if he gets away with this.
It is smart, but also incredibly risky. If he falls on transition, that is going to be one player down with limited info of what he can feed across. But for now, since he stays put, that is very, very good. He quickly gets the info. Spots two on the other side. That nade not far enough. They can't get them over the top of the rock. But as I say that, they're continuing to get close. Molly not going to go far enough either. A lot of utility being spent here by Therodon 5, but no damage done off of it.
Flood has tried to make a similar move to what we saw doing Hasawat doing a moment ago. Moves down here. He needs to get this out of position, but the rock line just isn't going to let him do it. He's on the outside of this, so he's still going to have to get something. This is just a play of desperation, saying we're backs against the wall. There's nothing we can do. That shift coming out from T5 is so good. Blue Zone nade's going to come in, and there is just nothing LG can do. They don't have the sight lines for it.
No sidelines, and now blinded as well as their rooks are engulfed in the blue. More smoke's being locked on forward. Flashes for days as they're taking the eyes out of the head of Kickstart, trying to really deny any sort of vision. It's all on Flood to try and prevent the entirety of Therodon 5 to move forward, and so far he's applying just enough pressure to force them back, but there should be no way that LG is allowed to get the rest on through. No way they're allowed to fully reset, but it seems like Therodon 5 has pushed back. They know they have the dot. They can wait this one out.
They're now starting to go for the res. That little bit of pressure that Flood's provided is enough. Now he's going to drop down, try to get himself into the zone. He just needs to get closer and closer to this off-angled position. Maybe somebody on T5 will reveal themselves, because there needs to be something. This is just trying to play for errors. That's all LG is doing. They're waiting for T5 to make a mistake, walk in the wrong angle, and exploit it, but T5 just isn't doing it.
I mean, T5 is smart. They're waiting. They know that Flood right now is being the nuisance, and they know he has to move. That rock was not inside the circle. Now it's only the cover that the smokes can grant him, and he has none of his own. He's relying on his teammates to throw anything down there to help him out. Hatsawat, though, soon will be in the exact same situation. He has to come off this rock in just a couple of seconds' time. So right now, I think it's going to be Flood versus Hatsawat on the southern side, and on the other side, it's going to be Snakers and Kickstart against the rest of Therodon 5.
And this 1v1 is so big. Hatsawat is focused up the hillside into Kickstart, and the duo, is that going to open it enough for Flood to get anything? He can't find just no angle to work with just quite yet. But somehow, the duo of LG has managed to fight their way into it. Rusted does manage to get down Flood, but here comes the firefight. Stepping in, Snickers gets it down and the flush onto one, but it comes at a cost of him going down. That is going to be LG eliminated, and T5 finding themselves a chicken dinner.
Great win for Therodon 5, making great use of the terrain that they had available. They didn't have to do much, but it's a full commit send to the center early on in the game that gets them out victorious. But what an effort by Luminosity to fight their way for so long through this one. They knew what had to be done, but in the end, Therodon 5 prevails.
I just got to give respect. There was so much. There was just one small misplay. It was all it would have taken for T5 to lose that.
Oh, definitely.
And they never put themselves in a vulnerable enough position to allow it to happen. And it was just very cleanly played.
And this goes off of what we were talking about yesterday and coming into this one as well. Therodon 5 started off as seemingly scared. Then we're seeing the second group stage, they starting to play with a little more confidence. And now we're seeing them. The fact that they said Hatsama down towards the water, that is a very, very dangerous play to try and pull off. But the impact that he had from down there, LG couldn't go anywhere because Therodon 5 put matters into their own hands and claimed the win.
So with this, we're going to go ahead and do a quick review of the highlights and all the craziness that happened inside TakeOver.
That's right here for the highlights. Therodon 5 getting themselves a huge win off the back of this. It's all about the pa-thong-pong here with the boys getting themselves so much damage. Joining me, Avenger, to talk about this one, and the power of emergency pickups here for them really pay dividends.
Extremely strong, but also what a rough circle, circling over and kind of ending in an area with almost no core, except for the Therodon 5 compound, of course. They held it strong, stayed 4 guys alive for a long time, put out a lot of damage, and then they're, of course, able to close out the end. But I gotta say, some of the emergency pickup decisions were questionable. Some of the crashes were questionable. We saw Gen G go into some of the compound, like, well, they don't. Why are they take this circle? This is not going to be inside the next circle. Why are you not going somewhere else or trying to? And then ending up some rough situation. Question mark also losing out 4 guys where it could have been just a chill crash on the shack.
Yeah.
They could have easily gotten more of that if they went deeper instead of deciding to end up there.
Yeah, but it will be a great win for these guys who come as one of the underdogs into the winners bracket, but now that's going to be putting them in first place, which is all important. Welcome back here to the desk, guys. And I think when you look at that, Martin, what you said at the beginning about that was very, very important. Right. A lot of these plays are going on kind of haphazardly because that is a very difficult location to try and play, unless you are there on 5, of course, in that kind of compound. How do you play the river? I mean, we saw teams trying to kind of rotate around on that here. So we'll yeah, what do you think?
In general, like, when you have this river, right, and you have so little cover, you have to do like what Luminosa did. You have to get an edge, and then you have to move in with your rocks, with your cover, with your terrain. They actually did a really good job considering how much pressure they were under from both 17 Gaming, 3rd and 5. Hatsawat was in a fantastic anchor position to hold down both Snakers and Kickstart, right? Flood, you have 3 nades. I was hoping to see him kind of push that, because if they were able to counter Hatsawat and they had the multiple angles instead of 3rd and 5 having it, they might have been able to do something. But yeah, 3rd and 5 was able to close it out quite nicely.
Yeah, very well done. Very well done indeed here. As we take a look at all the other teams that are kind of trying to jostle for position here, we do have them being able to put up quite a lot of numbers here, 3rd on 5 overall. Nice. Again, getting to that position also important. And yeah, Thanadol with 620 damage. I'm kind of surprised actually, because I didn't think he was doing a whole lot, but he was shooting a lot of things.
Yeah, you have him in your fantasy team, but yeah, he was spraying out. Yeah, 2 kills for him, but Hatsawat being able to get the 4 there in the end. And in general, what a fantastic game for them, of course. 3rd on 5 in a situation where they're able to hold a compound, defend it nicely, and also get out and take it in the end here.
Hatsawat, though, will be able to take the man of the match, brought to you by Gidia, and he is looking primed and pristine. Again, when you've got a location like that, you should be able to convert.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else is having to scramble for a location in these circles here, and it's not easy for them.
And also with how the circle went, right? When they had that northern shift and their compound was on the edge, they're like, okay, this is a free win. We just have to make sure, try to get as many points out of it. Total kills 23 for Cerberus, 3rd and 5 closely after here for 19 though.
Yep, definitely. Very well done here. Still Cerberus, as you say, taking that lead position with all of this. Still looking prevalent in some of these games. Of course, this one was a little bit more difficult for them when it comes to this. But yeah, I mean, how many teams have really practiced for an occurrence quite like this, where that compound is so quickly taken by Theranon? As we will see, also 17. Still putting up a lot of numbers. The way they were able to dismantle Na'Vi as quickly as they did was absolutely catastrophic for the boys in yellow.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunate for them. And I gotta say, with how we'll take, of course, it's a new map, it's our newest map, but again, I really want to see the teams go into these situations where they're taking the compounds around the unplayable and close to the unplayable area. But you saw teams, go for emergency pickup on the edges and trying to get somewhere else, trying to get some of those compounds that are like really high priority in these eastern circles here. 3rd and 5 though, in up the top here, James.
Honestly, I mean, they've got 35 points so far. If they get another good game, they're probably into the grand final, as long as you kind of have middling results from there on out. And again, who would have expected them to be in this position right now? I don't think a lot of people would.
Yeah, the cutoff for winners bracket for PGS1, just to compare, it was in our mid-60s as well.
Yes.
66, something like that, depending on where they end up. So having this just after 3 games, fantastic for them. Just a win with double digits, they're looking fine. They're into the winners bracket. So looking good for 3rd and 5. Cerberus 2, of course, FaZe tied on 26.
Not bad at all here as we look all the way down towards the bottom.
Cerberus only 3 placement points, but 23 kills.
I mean, I keep saying it backstage, right? Are these guys just god gamers? Are they actually, like Himas and Tycon, constantly able to put up these big numbers? And if this kind of proliferates through the rest of the tournament, like it's actually quite hard to call who's going to be the champion of this tournament. But if you watch as Cerberus is playing the way they are, they could easily be the champion with that kind of fragging power Avenger. That's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, and also for them in terms of securing a PGC spot, because it is that hard in APAC, right? If they have another good event, if they have a top 4 here, they're going to PGC on PGS points, so that'll be huge for them too. Of course, I gotta say, like, I've been super impressed with what we've seen from APAC so far,
Absolutely.
They have really had a rise through the last couple of years.
Yeah, and it shows that they're all grinding. It shows that they're all trying to push as hard as possible. Yeah, I mean, ever since, of course, we saw them do okay before our previous PNC, but it felt like that almost was a turning point where we saw like the crowd come alive for them, where we saw kind of that grind slowly coming to fruition and at PGS1, and then also previously when we watched PGC last year at the end of it, and then we got to see as people were all picking Tycon because he was in a coach position.
There's like a way too cheap on fantasy, right? So he's just been put in, yeah, of course, and then he went up and absolutely stepped up. Yeah, PGC last year was really, for me, like my eyes was really starting to focus on them, and that's where they really proved us here. And then, of course, coming in and a great performance at PGS1 too.
Let's talk about LG though, because they were able to get themselves to the later stages of this game. It does feel like that they're able to last a little bit longer. When I looked at them in group stage, Avenger, correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like they were playing a little bit slow, a little bit scared. But maybe this is the boost they need here to get themselves a solidified spot in the top 8. What do you think?
I definitely think so too, and also they're the most damage leaders so far. I think Snakers already has 1,000 damage in just 3 games, so super impressive for them to step in and do like that. Of course, here another situation down on screen. Rough, let's go back to Erangel. Rough decision making throughout. Late emergency pickup into compounds that you have a hard time scouting. I would like to see them play a little bit more slow, a little like well considered in terms of their decision making, because once they are on foot, they're like certain that there's no one behind them. When they full focus, they 180 forward, they just completely slay. But that decision maker is just questionable for me.
Did you say they slay? Is that what you just said? Nice.
Absolutely slay. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
I mean, the funny thing is that I have to agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, with it being 2 military bases to start, or military islands to start things off, it does create this weird situation where maybe the results aren't quite as they would have gone if we'd have got normal mainland Erangel circles. So early days, 3 games here down out of the 12 for the winners bracket. I'm expecting, say for example, Adanawa to try and come back, even though, you know, we're hearing murmurs, whatnot. They didn't have the easiest time in the group stage as well. But technically, on paper, this is an awesome roster. I mean, look at what I think it was it Ionix or Loki was able to do in the first game?
Yeah, 7 kills on Loki, 1v3'd and 1v4'd, I believe. Absolutely insane scenes. We're going to be seeing more from that later. We saw it in the replay too, where he destroyed Luminosity. It's just crazy to see how well, you know, even with just being 1 player left alive, you can just take on a full team and take them down. So super impressive to see.
All right, of course, as we're going on to Miramar, any thoughts before we move on?
No, 3 Miramars here, 2 to start tomorrow. Like, if you have a great start here and you're able to secure some of your loot spots, that'll be a huge thing for some of these teams.
All right, let's get to it then. It's the Dusty Dunes, as Toffees likes to say here for Miramar. We've got 3 of them. Let's head over to the casters as we've got our first one on the way.
Thank you so much, Colaris and Avenger, bringing in all the insights moving into this set of Miramar. As I am excited. Groups for this section of it, 3 Miramars back-to-back. Close out. We often see them to be fairly action-packed, depending on how the circles are going to be going. And I got a question for you here. Is it considered getting the circle if you now emergency pick up into the circle?
Well, I mean, if you're in the center of a circle, you get a circle, that's getting a circle. But you also, it's not like you were sat in the same spot that you looted, and then you just didn't do anything.
I need to know so that way whenever everybody starts saying the fact that, oh, look at LG and their rats or whatever else like that, whenever teams start managing to jump in and they start going, oh, look at all these snakes and getting circle favor.
You know what? If you're sat on the very edge and you dare to fly past every single team and just hot drop straight into the middle, knowing that we have some pretty damn skilled teams here that can shoot you out of the sky as easy as nothing, and you get that, and you get circles with it.
I'm in the same boat as you, so let's just go ahead and make that
everyone else is too.
It doesn't count. Yeah. If you do an emergency pickup in there, it makes you smart, not lucky.
I mean, it would be. It is pretty smart. What isn't smart is for this pilot to send this plane so far towards the east, because it's the first time we're on Miramar with this set of teams, and we do know that with very hard edge plane paths, it can sometimes get pretty tricky for teams to get to where they want to go.
Look, okay, it's no surprise. The plane path wants to go to military base.
Yeah, I suppose so.
That's the trend today, right?
Yeah, I guess. Hopefully the circles won't catch on to that, because that's a little far away. Soon to be closer in competitive play, as we have seen the new Miramar. It's been put in play as well, but not on competitive yet. But I guess the Circle Master had other plans this time around. No Campo Militar, no. Instead, we're headed far down towards the southeast. And I'm just saying, Matrim, imagine. And then I'm not going to say anything else.
But see, that's the thing. I prefer the actual hillside fight. This is one of my favorite circles to get on Miramar. I love the hillside fighting that happens just to the north and the west of Puerto Paraiso. I think it's just a really strong position to be able to play from. Plus, you still get the outliers that come out of Los Leones, We still also do have the capabilities for a Los Leones ending, but I mean, we even still have Impala in this as well, which is just a crazy cool section having a game like that.
This is definitely going to be quite a spicy circle, regardless of whether we go far out towards the east or we stay on the mainland. It's going to be an interesting one because half the circle is water. Los Leones already houses 2 teams, so it's going to be dangerous to rotate on through, and there's going to be a lot of teams that really have to figure out how do we maneuver on this. And keep in mind, we haven't been down here in any of the previous matches, and this lobby, this specific set of 16 has never played each other on Miramar. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how this one's going to play out.
I just really am going to be intrigued to see how people play around the outskirts of Los Leones and that hillside. Gen.G going to be very, very happy right now, given the fact that they've got their positional. You can also see that 17 Gaming is going to get the Picado area. LG, for those of you that are kind of keeping an eye on where all of these secondary drops are, I know the fact that Sonics tends to be more of a Picado drop. This time we're actually going to see them go much more up into the power grid area. So let's see what's going on with our team over here in Picado right now.
Yeah, a doozy. Let's see what he has to say.
It's our first core tournament after half of the year, I think, because we missed PGS1. But I'm happy to back on the big stage and play against the teams from all world. I think TE, Team Expendables, they are doing a really good job. They, if I'm not wrong, they finished top 16 in the PGC, and now they are playing like best team of the world. So I think Expendables are warming up only right now, because as I said already, we had a long break. We didn't go out to PGS1, so we kind of missed the world competition. And now I think we just need some time to show our best performance, and I hope we will show it in the winner bracket. And when we will qualify to the grand final, we will show our best in the grand finals.
I mean, they've been playing out their minds, and in this circle, you can see that they managed to wrap into the south. They're in a strong position to already be playing from. This has the potential to be a great game for them, and I gotta say, I love seeing these guys here. The capabilities of what this squad is, I know that you guys have been talking about a lot over in EU. I don't even know if we've actually seen them hit their pinnacle yet, because I think that there's still more for them to keep going with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Question Mark was scary, and now you add Bestelot to the mix. That just makes them even more scary. Bestelot comes in with years and years and years of PUBG experience. He's been at the very, very high of PUBG and also down at the very, very low. So he knows exactly what it takes to build a super team, and that is what Question Mark is currently trying to do. They have been adding a more aggressive, kind of fitting to their playstyle, and I'm liking what I've been seeing. So far today, it hasn't been overly aggressive for them. A 14th, a 3rd, and a 5th placement points have been there. Kills haven't quite, but we'll see now as we go over to Miramar how they're gonna fare.
Na'Vi now making their regroup. They're just going to be to the north of kind of what we see going on with TE, as they're going to be just, actually, I guess TE is more to the west. They're kind of scattered along this hillside. This is a ridiculously good compound, depending on how the circle is going to lay. Most of our teams definitely playing that southern area of Impala, more to the east of what's going on with Los Leones. One, because it can hold better territory. Two, because higher likelihood of how the circle's probably going to fall.
Now, I'm not going to go out here and say, Matt, that crates predict circles, even though we all know it's true. I'm just saying, if you guys out there watching the map right now, look at where the first crate of the game has landed, and then let's get some prayers in the chat.
I'm so weird. I am the guy that everybody just says that I'm like an agent of chaos. I like the cruel circles, because I do. I just
is there a limit to the cruelty?
I always just prefer the hillside firefight and versus the actual swimming and weirdness that happens on an island circle. They're fun to see. But as far as cruelty and craziness go, I think that the actual hillside fight there is way, way cooler. And I know everybody can get mad at me about it, but that's my opinion. And Xleft is in some trouble. Now he's going to be fine, though.
Yeah, well, you say he's going to be fine. The entirety of Na'Vi is looking in this direction. He's going to need Summer over the top to help defend if he wants to not only get out of there alive himself, but also get Tui out with him. This is not the start to the game that Petrichor was hoping to have, coming down on that southeastern side with Na'Vi all around them. But good thing for them is the pressure has been applied, and that's going to force Alia back towards the compound.
Yeah, this is one of those things that while Na'Vi got the knock, it would be too hard to follow up, so just kind of relent it. Na'Vi instead wants to get the higher ground control and kind of watch what's going to be going on with with this. We do have the drop coming into FaZe, as you can see in the distance, and they do have a hillside, but it's not comfy.
Well, I mean, FaZe wanted the compound towards the northeast, and they went, wait, Na'Vi is there. And then they wanted to go south, where Gen G is there. Great way of playing down in and around the open. And it's not a bad place to be. You know you're going to be shifting away from water eventually. You know you're going to be shifting away from the mountains. And you know, if you know it, you should have shifted away from Haisagi, because he will find you any day of the week.
At this point, I don't think that Cerberus is a 3-headed dog. I feel like it's a 4-headed dog, because every single one of them can fight.
They sure as hell can. And for Daytrade, they just have not been getting any breaks in this city. Not only have they been forced through group stage to play off against DD team, but now, as soon as they try and leave, Cerberus is there just sat ready and waiting. So sure seems to be somewhat cursed for them to be looting in that center city.
Just about everybody's already made it in, but keep in mind that Cerberus Daytrade weirdness was up next to Hacienda. We do have T5 that's going to be over there, Daytrade, Sonics, DK, kind of being our outlier teams, but we're not. There's so much of this circle that's still open. Everybody is just packed between Puerto and Los Leones and Paula. Just a triangle of, I don't even know, whatever you want to call it down there.
Now, I'm no circle god by any means. I don't have the power to pull circles in different directions, but I will say this. If we are to talk tendencies and things we've seen in the past, when we don't go far towards the east, we've actually had to go far towards the west quite a few times. And the thing is, we don't have to go overly far towards the west in order for that phase 4 to be forced to go into Los Leones because of the mountains that we currently see Falcons on.
Most people right now are playing the geometry, right? So the fact that whenever we start to see how the circle and the water comes into play, mathematically, if you were to lay all the circles over each other, the best position is right in here. You are correct that we do sometimes see the pull kind of go more directional, but this one, everybody's just kind of playing the fact that if you were to like make a Venn diagram of how the circles could pop over each other, this is the area that has the highest likelihood of them all to stack. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the way it's gonna go, though. I mean, we could even see a far northern shift into a no man's land Bendita and Paula Field, and that would be a beat.
Yeah, it could easily swing north, no doubt about it. There are no teams up there right now outside of Cerberus, Third on 5, and Sonic, who are currently rotating on in. Behind all that, we have the 3 remaining players of Daytrade, and here, of course, the team that took out that one player from Daytrade. 2 in a car. It's going to be Dogma and I believe him as riding together as they try to make their way into the circle.
Dusk was talking about it, you know, with the regarding of, well, you know, position points, those are fine and good, but, you know, kill points are kind of what we see Cerberus thrive off of.
Oh, yeah.
This is an example. They're sure, they're right next to the circle, but it doesn't matter. There's teams around them. Let's see if we can, they want to find them. They want to kill them. T5 is back behind Tycon right now. They might spot them in a second.
I mean, they're definitely going to see them. The question is whether they're going to want to, and I don't say waste time, but take a fight here. We have 25 seconds till the new circle pops. Third and 5 has no clue what they're driving into, so there's a lot of scouting still yet to be done. There's, of course, the chance that they could just kind of emergency pick up into the center of something, but I think at this point, if we go anywhere towards the center we currently have, Third and 5 would get completely torn to pieces in the sky.
This is the most terrifying team to rotate next to, because you can see, like, more often than not, you kind of drive next to each other and you separate out. No, Cerberus is like, let's see if we can get a little bit closer. Where is this circle going to go? And right into the thick of it.
Right into the middle. So it seems like every single team gets right. At least for now. It can still do something crazy towards the west, but it's very, very unlikely at this point.
Remember that kid in middle school was like, what am I ever going to use this map for? Right here. Right here, right now. This is how you get rewarded with it. As really Cerberus, T5, and Daytrade, the only teams that having to make big moves. You can see that DK is also rotating kind of close to where 17's at.
Now I'm seeing Na'Vi pulling up on Tyloo, and I think Na'Vi has called this split because 755 and Shin are nowhere near to defend. Na'Vi has had some really good games out of this eastern side of the city. In the meantime now, though, we talked about Third and 5 and Cerberus just before. We're starting to see fights for these compounds, for these priority areas of the map. As both Na'Vi and Tyloo, alongside Third and 5 and Cerberus, having a bit of a fight.
Cerberus going to be rolling right next to Duck Juice that we saw just a moment ago, but TE did realize which 2 teams did kind of get in the scrap because they saw that kill. They're not going to overcommit just quite yet. We do also see Kia making a very dramatic path, I would say, right next to 17 Gaming as well as Luminosity. They're about to hit a wide open field, and that's not going to feel too good.
Again, I mean, D plus Kia, what they do best is play defense, and we see it time and time again. Phase 2 is their time to just full speed send it towards the middle, prone down somewhere, whether it be a compound, a shack, a dip, you name it. They'll sit here, they'll sit tight, and they'll try to defend. But this spot, as you're saying, this early in the game, and with Americano now hitting Zenith, it is a little dangerous. At least they're outside of the 8 range. But Mortis. Oh no, I didn't even think about that. Oh no, Mortis.
Always got to think about that one in this one. So, This is probably one of my more favorite areas. This was kind of what I was alluding to earlier. You can see that the hillside has got a lot of dips. There's a lot of very interesting footpaths that you can make, but note that the entirety of the hillside is just a slow and steady decline until it gets down to closer to Puerto, where it does a massive drop off, and the angle on the slope changes so much, which means that a lot of our times we see teams kind of having the capabilities to fight in a much more trench bounce kind of situation down over here, where they're chasing after each other.
I'm just sad looking in the sky for mortar shells to come flying on through right now. The good thing for D plus Kia is I think they're aware of this threat too. They saw as soon as they got the rest on up, instantly try and spread out as much as they possibly can, so that if these artillery barrages do go their direction, at least there's a smaller chance of it hitting all of them.
I mean, if I was running a mortar right now, I would probably even still save it. This is going to be so much open space to contend with. That if we were to go into, like, let's say, circle number 4 with the mortar, I think that we'd have a much better benefit with it.
The thing is, there are only so many areas of the map you're able to use a mortar. Because sure, it's great to shoot into people in the open, but you're also going to be in the open when you use one.
That's what I was saying about with this circle. There's going to be a lot of angles that you can play from where you can use the hillside to protect you and be able to shoot into another open area.
Now, I'm seeing what's happening here, and that is our good friends in Day Trade planning on an early entry to phase 3. My only worry is with how congested this circle center already is, where do they fly? Where do they land without getting so like completely just...
There are places to land.
They definitely are, but how do they get down from the air? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, okay, oh, there's the first one. We were talking about it. There's the second. We knew mortars were going to rain on in eventually. We knew it was bound to happen. And here comes more as Silson has the angle dialed perfectly. And Dava, get away. Get to safety, my friend. You're in trouble.
Just kind of juke in and out between them, and you can see a couple of shots going to at least make it scary there, but with the vehicles now being gone, it's going to make it more complicated. The circle did pop, and it leaned more in the Impala direction than it did in the Puerto direction, but that still means that there's going to be a lot of good territory.
More shields.
Oh, yeah.
He's running around looking for more shields. He knows he has flushes. He knows he has people lying around. They're just waiting to be taken down. Of course, he runs in and picks back up his mini just to make sure that he has his DMR with him in case they have to leave.
Thirsty Shin over there.
I mean, they saw the Nux too. They're seeing smokes being deployed. They're seeing the smoke from the car too. There's more nades now coming in, and Luminosity wants a piece of this. All these teams are eyeing down D plus Kia. They want these points for themselves.
There is blood in the water, and the Sharks are now starting to circle. Where do you go if you're Kia? Because you were the target that was picked. Shin's on one side, LG coming up back behind you, but LG has got to be careful. Yeah. 17 Gaming is going to be coming up right back behind them as the firefight's going to continue. It's just going to make it more complicated. So with these teams now having to take a moment, realize what's coming after them, that has allowed for Kia to have a moment of reprieve and to breathe about what's going to be potentially coming after them in a moment.
Able to somehow reset. Thank you, 17 Gaming, for that. Luminosity, of course, not necessarily fully aware that it is 17 that's just over the other side of the ridge, so they all sit tight at least for a little while longer while shots are still raining in from above.
We do need to point out the kings of the mountain right now are going to be our teams in Sonics, Falcons, and Tyloo, who are going to be capable of just kind of looking down into the more open areas. So that's one of the reasons why we're seeing them lean into using the mortars, getting firefighting. They have the ability to move down the hill as they want to, as we saw with Shin just a moment ago. But Kickstart playing this very, very patient, just waiting for the moment. Oh, and is it going to be Flood that follows in? Or are we just going to see them crest up the hillside? Nade's now going to come out, and it's just going to be a directed retreat as the Nade just bombs back in their face.
Solid double up on over. They knew exactly where they had him, and now Little Ghost has to see if he can make a play off of it. Trying to wrap around one side. Xiaowu is going to try and help him out on the other. It's just Flood lying over here. The issue is every single time they peek over the ridge, not only do they have Luminosity to worry about, but multiple other teams on the other side too. We hop over towards the east coast now. There's space, and Dano will fight one another, and Fex finally showing up here on the global stage, finds the double. A little bit of help from Grexy and James there too. And once again, Danoa, 4 games in, only been able to catch 9 points.
Oh, this LG, man, that felt like a, sometimes it's better to commit to a bad plan than it is to like try to figure out a good plan. They had a goal in what they were wanting to try to accomplish and then stepped away from it, and that nade just destroyed them. Molotov going to continue in. Snaker's going to go down from just more and more continual harassment. This is This is just a matter of time, it feels like, as now all the attention that Kia had has been shifted into LG's direction.
You say that, but you can see here, as soon as they peek on over, once again, Falcons up there defending. They don't care who they have to defend. They will defend both if they have to. And now Gen G are starting to backfill. PO is far, far away doing PO things as he always does. But Tame and EG and DJ98 are starting to creep up behind their team. So they have to be very fast if they want to be able to turn around. They do get them down in time. But here comes the push from behind.
It's going to be Gen G now realizing the fact that, okay, we've got the numbers advantage into this, start making sure that we can exploit it. Nade's going to be coming out. Suju's going to step away, use some cover. But again, this high ground positioning from the Falcons is just refereeing every bit of this firefight. As though the blue zone Nade is going to be able to get away from it, and just narrowly.
Yeah, Xiaowu does get flushed on out. Suju now goes down to Silson as well. 800, make that almost 500 damage come through from Silson. Probably just a little bit of the damage that is currently on the side of the entire Falcons team, as they have been farming up from the west side mountains.
Those are just massive damage numbers that are going to be coming out from them. Sonic's been pretty quiet next to him, instead kind of letting them control what's been going on inside of this. To the north, we also have a crazy situation that's potentially brewing, where we've got, what, Cerberus right in between multiple members of T5, while Daytrade looks like they're trying to path more into the center where Bellamoth is going to be at. Gen G still being the aggressors. They have a couple of pounds that they can play over here. And here we go. Here's that Cerberus fight we were talking about just a moment ago.
Once again, APAC action towards the north. We have Daytrade up here joining them as well. Stanadol, one of the prime players for Therodon's 5 success so far in PGS2, will try and creep further forward. Tycon did get rest. Haisaki forced to prone down, no vest available. They have to be ready for the push over the top. And with a few bullets missed, they will be. Tycon finds one, instantly traded as a double from Stanadol comes through.
Cerberus going to play this one as clean as possible, and they cannot do it. The sightlines just were not there. It got close. That's why being the last one up needs to commit in, but here comes Daytrade, as we are also going to have Petrichor Road wrap in back behind this. Jeebus was making a play into what Petrichor Road was doing, was taking a couple of shots in and forced them to kind of commit to this faster. Should be able to pick up a couple of kills out of this just with nades.
3 knock players, that's a double coming through. Kupi the Vibe as a whole, and indeed it is. 1 point gets gifted to Tycon, another to Haisagi. The remaining 2 goes the way of Summer, and that is Petrichor wrapping up a lot of points on that northern side, and even more importantly, getting themselves way more space to play.
And don't forget, as we see FaZe being a bit more aggressive into Petrichor Road, and they're playing it, James is the teammate that is cycling so far out and around into this. I don't know if Petrichor Road is entirely certain on how much of this flank that he's going to commit into. So we do see a bit more of this Falcons Tyloo fight, as Falcons have had to come down and descend from the heavens.
Down they go, down towards the compound. But a little bit of help coming from the side. That's Mime finding one that Nate, bouncing a bit too far. Could have been really, really good, as all the Falcons are running on top of one another. But now they've made landfall. 3 of them are in. What can Longs do as he meets them up close? Imix able to get the first one down, but here comes one from the side, and Imix turns on 755, and that is Tyloo down.
Imi just playing that one right there, as Falcons sitting on 6 kills. Starting to feel pretty good. After what coming into this one, they were sitting at a grand total of, I believe, what is it, 5? So already just going to be coming in, climbing up that leaderboard. Circle's even going to favor their positionals, but with that bit of a skirmish, that means that 17 Gaming, and well, the remnants, I should say, of 17 Gaming might be eyeing their direction, is with this Petrichor Road still on the outside, Daytrade's going to be in front of them, and FaZe, who's just been kind of chasing them for, what, a circle and a half now?
Look at where 17 is. They know that if they run any further up that hill, Gen G is going to completely shred them. Good thing for them is they aren't, I mean, Gen G isn't fully aware that FaZe has opted to wrap this far north, so they're still a little worried, look in the other direction, but again, this is where I'm seeing Gen G as being more indecisive. Make the push, go down the other way to fetch that info that FaZe is going the other way. And now, 4-man vehicle. We have seen this go wrong so many times.
This could be problem.
Where do you go?
This could be problematic because they're doing it roughly the same time Sonics were trying to make their move in. H1's already got himself down into kind of a foothold position, but it is looking like they were going to stop right before that hillside. So H1's not going to have vision. That hillside is going to block them out, but Daytrade is going to have the capabilities of moving into it.
This right here is playing perfectly into the hands of FaZe, and you can see as soon as that first knock comes through, they're all eyeing this fight. They're going to peek over from behind and get a really, really good part of this fight. Summer finds one, Mill finds another. A lot of damage coming through towards Daytrade, but not able to get all of them. And now Sonic's peeking over from one side. FaZe is going to peek over from the other as well.
This is just going to be an absolute sandwich. Day trade, Petrichor Road just smashed in between Sonics on one side, FaZe on the other one, exploiting high ground advantages and just raining in the damage. It is just, what, I would say at this point about an 80% chance of rain, but that rain is just going to be bullets and mortars, nades, everything you could potentially want.
And there you have it. H-Win with a double, takes down Petrichor. They thought they had a good play in the making, but not quite the case. Day trade falls immediately after. And just like that, Falcons losing DraftKings. That's the little ghost. So off of all the commotion that happened towards the east and to the north, because Gen.G didn't look after 17 on their escape, they've actually managed to get all the way up above the Falcons' compound.
I love that Sonics is still leaving Mime back behind to make sure to protect flanks. FaZe is trying to creep over into this direction. Mime is going to spot that out. He can't support a lot. As you can see that the dips and the valleys in between this doesn't mean that he has a good angle for it, but he's already fed that information over so the other three can start their defensive line into it.
Definitely.
So they've been warned in advance, but they are going to be outnumbered. Is H1 going to be able to get the knock onto it? And yes, he does to open this one up, and that should stop FaZe in some fashion. Is also the Expendables are going to see this rotation.
Yep, that could have been a very dangerous play had James been allowed to wrap all the way around that side, but H-Win ready and waiting as the push came through. Correxy now lobbing a few smokes forward. They want to get Gustav back to safety, but I'm not sure how they do that from here. They're going to rely on other teams to force Sonics off that hillside, I believe. Oh, Gustav, the vehicle's on fire. Get away. He saw it and he started sprinting. Unfortunately for him, in due time.
He's got enough of a smoke wall. They should be able to retreat. And it looks like now, yep, just taking some shots back in. Okay, you can have that, guys. You guys, Sonics, north is yours, but we're both going to have to move anyway right down into Falcons compound.
Exactly. That's the main reason they back off of this one. And the fact that FaZe gets to go away from this, only taking one casualty, considering how much of a disadvantage their position was, especially with Mime over the top, huge that they get to back off, reset. Yes, they lose James, but still, now they can play the next circle because they're going to have to figure out how the hell they get into this one.
Yeah, FaZe and Sonic's not going to have the funnest of times.
Definitely
also,
not.
17 Gaming, got to realize, okay, do we push through being shot at by Gen.G into Falcons compound? Because it's about the best options we've got. Sonic still do have their vehicles, so they have some options to work with. Really, it's just going to be Emmy from Falcons that has a good sight line, as it is going to be TE distracted by what's going on with FaZe. FaZe wants to breach into this line from the Expendables, but the Expendables are all locked in together. This is allowing Sonics just to kind of roam right into this, and a free circle rotation at this stage is insane.
Sonics is reading this perfectly. They saw the flush from 17 on one of these players from Falcons earlier. They know that because DraftKings fell to 17, that's players up there. That means Falcons cannot play out in the open. That is allowing them to push further forward. And now FaZe again trying to make something happen where there is nothing to do. Nice headshots come through from Corexy, but it ain't gonna be enough.
I mean, that was... there's not much FaZe could have done there. They've been so loud, and they've been so aggressive on other teams for so long. The Expendables have been taking shots at them and knew exactly how they were probably going to be rotating through and open on either side. At least this way, it was only focusing on one team, as Na'Vi also had a small bit of vision. I do want to point out, while all this is going on with the Sonics taking shots into TE and distracting Falcons, Gen.G has crept down to the south. You can see them on the minimap down there. It's not the best of places to play, but they have managed to find a way to get into somewhere that they probably should have died at.
I am a little worried for Falcons here. They're still trying to claim both the warehouse and the main brick building up towards the north. They should prioritize one. Just give up the low ground to the opponents. Play 3 out of the top. Now with Capitan getting the knock, run off, Fred. You're at 36 HP. You got the flush even. Get back up that hill, because if you're focusing south, you can be damn sure Sonics are going to be backfilling easily on top of you.
I mean, I do like the fact of clearing out 17 Gaming, making sure that they have this secured. They've got 3 members commit into this compound. Let Sonics have the northern one. PO, though, is going to make it more problematic, as it is going to be Emmy going down. Now, exchange of shots, as Shrimzy is going to get some vision into it, as the entirety time that this is going to be going on, Gen.G is going to have to contend in with the fact that Na'Vi is creeping up right back behind.
Exactly. All of Gen.G was looking up towards this compound. No one is holding their backs, and Na'Vi is saying, thank you, we'll take full advantage of exactly that. Taemin first one to fall. PO caught out in the middle of the open as he goes down as well. Now EJ falls as well, and what looked to be a good push from Gen.G, they did not have the eye in the back, and therefore they crumble.
Bounce around the vehicles as Sonics is making the concerted push into Falcons territory. But remember, it's going to be Gen.G remnants coming out from this one, so it's going to be a 1-2 punch combined together to take out the Falcons. Is Sonics going to continue this rundown as they've got the entirety of this compound now in control, and it's just going to be DG that they're going to have to contend with in close range, but the circle pops so far away from it.
Yep, nice read here by Expendables. They see Na'Vi wrap on up. They get Millman down. That's the one player they need to deal with in order to claim the compound. Now, it is outside the next circle, but this is a foothold in for Expendables, who is sat just outside by a meter or two on the northern side. They're so aggressive. They're so decisive. We saw it in the Stalber win during the group stages here. They are so fast at making new ideas and executing them.
This is a carryover. Remember, we saw Na'Vi moving in to try to jump in back behind Gen G to see if they could pick up a couple of kills. They got stalled off of that with the shots that came out from the Expendables, and now they have just shifted it. Expendables said, hey, you didn't want this anymore. We are going to take it. We appreciate you leaving at least a member behind so that we can try to pick up a kill point on top of it.
Exactly, and as things slow down for a moment, we also have to keep in mind that, again, D plus Kiev, all they do is send up and then defend. Well, they're still alive, still defending, and they're going to be chilling at least for a little while longer. They might not have any kills, but the placement points keep ragging on up.
Back into the Expendables as well. Remember, Duck Juice did get left behind.
Yeah.
He's playing into the north, so that gives them a crossfire into a very open section of terrain that we're going to be dealing with right now. As while Sonics have been doing a good job of kind of bouncing around, sitting up, picking up some kills, they are going to be walking down this hillside, and it's not going to be comfortable to deal with. I mean, look at even what Kia's got. This is the cover in the circle.
Everyone but Expendables and D+ has to make a move here. And even if Expendables don't have to make a move, they're still going out to try and force Na'Vi. I love this. Again, show presence down on that southern side. Force Na'Vi towards the north into what's remaining of Sonics and Gen G.
Sonics using the small bit of firefighting that happened over here, a couple of bullets being exchanged as an opportunity to jump up into the north. Two of their members, technically three of their members, about to be all four of their members getting in this high ground. Takes out Duck Juice. That crossfire now gone. North belongs to the Sonics as the south is just going to be a massacre. Gen G is trying to get out, and they're going to have to run right next to Na'Vi as there's nowhere for them to really go, while TE is going to be flanking it right back behind this one. Uba's going to go ahead and go down in this one. Gen G's still fighting for their life on this hillside, but there is no winner to be had over here.
Nice plays coming through from DG, really using the fact that his teammate is back up on the other side to his advantage. EJ, nice 1-2 punch for them. Issue is that they've allowed Expendables to claim up all over this hill. They're down to low HP, but somehow Expendables just can't find the flushes. They're going in the hands of Sonics, who are starting to take more and more control. 8 kills and counting as the boys in blue start to really run away with this one.
By losing Duck Juice, now it's going to be a reposition coming out from TE. 777 has had to move himself up into the north, which means that TE had to be a little bit messier in that fight with Gen G down to the south, and DG is still alive for them, and everybody is just kind of fighting around where Kia is at. They realize, okay, you've got the cover, you can kind of maneuver. Instead, it's kind of better for us to use these hillsides, play opposite, and just deny sight lines on you.
Now, does Sonics know that 777 is still up on that northern side? He could catch them off guard, and we know that these Expendables players give them just a half mag available, and he could easily find a couple of players. None of them are looking his way. None of them have ARs out. It's all DMRs. It's all long-range fighting. If they opt to wrap around that western side, 777 is going to catch them off guard.
I do also want to point out, a lot of these Sonics kills have come very clean and very quick. So as some of the other firefights have been a lot more drawn out, it means that armor, stuff like that is going to be much worse on the other squad. So in addition to having a numbers advantage, Northern Control, they're just probably better equipped into this firefight. The only problem with being in the north is TE's got eyes on them. Kia could have eyes on them in a second, and that could lead to a crossfire position if they're not careful.
Let's see how many different fights Sonic stats take at the same time here. There, H1 is slowly making his way up the top of the hill, and now the element of surprise in 777 has passed, but he finds one. Mime falls. Can they reset? Instantly, smoke's deployed. And Delvin here wants to go for the rest, but it's simply not going to happen. There's too far over to 777 as Tickleton instantly pops off to hold the angle while the rest comes through.
Yeah, I like this from Sonic. Instantly react in.
Nice reaction.
Go for the res onto it. You know the fact that you've got the control in this territory. You can just kind of wait this one out. They do lose the kill on the 777. It's picked up by somebody else. But at this point, you're playing for in-game and win. You're not playing for that one kill.
Atron is wrapping on this one. I like the idea. Now Strimsy peeks over the top, gets the double on Delvin and Tanwu, as well as Sonics reach kill number 10. Nice off-angle push for Atron. D plus Kia. Very, very limited now with what they can work with, despite them being the ones with the cover, because every single time they peek anything whatsoever, they're going to be right in the crosshairs of Sonics.
H-Win, P90, close range, getting into the thick of it. Kia, you got yourselves a Gen G player back behind you on top of this. The deck is now stacked against you as you have been hearing these shots, but look at how close Gen G. DG is just creeping up on him moment by moment. Almost feels like Gen G just wants to try to pick up a kill right now. That's the only thing that they want. One more point, we're good.
You say one more point, I say second place at least. That's what he's trying to claim here, because the issue is now he's going to be crawling over the other side of this ridge, and he will be in the scopes of his opponents in just a brief moment. I think 1 or 2 more meters, and they should see him.
Keep in mind, we also do see Sonics deploying those shields out.
Yeah.
That's massive in a circle like this. So that way, whenever you throw down the smokes, you give yourself a bit more dancing positions to play from. You don't have to worry about it being as vulnerable as you normally would be in this, or having to do what DG's doing right now.
I mean, they know, you can see they're looking in multiple directions right now. They don't know exactly where DG went. They know there's still a solo linker in somewhere, and they know that the game is ending outside the compound. So they're sitting on the back, with their backs against the blue, just waiting for the snakes to present themselves.
They've been tracking the kills as it moves forward. They want this fight to happen, and then they want to exploit what happens next. They wanted some weakening to happen, because the Americano already down to half-life just makes it that much easier for them to have to contend with. Now that that's happened, you can see this is your go moment. Sonic's just going to step forward, start throwing out their utility. H1 was going to be leading the way with a solid gun to try to get something, but Americano defends it up. Good headshot, but that's still a lot of Sonic's members just flooding down into the thick of it. I don't know if Americano, which way are you going to try to be looking as Deva now making a flank play into this?
Mime is far out in the blue, and he doesn't have anything to work with somehow, though he's not seen. Mime goes down, Tickleson finds one in return, and just like that is a 2v1, but this one is turning out to be a lot more hard to claim than what I thought it would be for Sonics. It's a 2v1, flashes galore, Deva is blind for days. It should be an easy pickup in here, but they're both blind as Deva finds one, and thankfully for the Sonics, Tig is able to turn it around, but you can see that face. That ain't smiles, that ain't joy. That was way closer to a second place than Sonics would have wanted it to be.
Deva's reposition out on that was just really, really clean. Americano getting that opening knock into it was solid, but that said, you can see the smile starting to resurge just a bit more. It got more nervous than they probably wanted, but I mean, walking away with that was what, 12 kills in chicken dinner?
I feel bad for Sonics, because everything they did leading up to that final fight was so good. They played in from the north, then they wrapped up to the compound when they knew the 17 was suppressing Falcons. They came back down into the field again. They suppressed, but when they finally pushed, it just seems like communication was way off.
Well, that's not entirely true inside that as well, because whenever you look at it, Kia was doing a good job on playing defended positions. Americano, after getting that opening knock, you saw Deva instantly shifted out of what was something that was already controlled by Sonics. So Sonics now had to shift into the north, and that was Deva doing a good job on reading that, stepping away, moving into the hay bale instead of playing in the expected area. So there was a mistake to be made, yes, on Sonics, but it was also very well played on Kia's part.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Move around that.
No doubt that they did everything they possibly could with the situation that they were, with the spot that they were given. But still, I feel like with what Sonics had available, they could have made that work out even better. Good thing for them is, though, they won the game. That's all that matters. They come out victorious as we see the highlights here of what was a very entertaining first Miramar of the day.
I love myself some Miramar. This is why, and again, this is why I love this circle. Keep in mind, it was still pretty open, right?
Yeah,
we still had fields and everything else like that, but there were so many small things that you could still work around. You had cover that you could still navigate. Like, this is one of my favorite PUBG positions to play from.
It really is very, very nice to see the fights taking place down here. And also because we knew it so early. That first circle, very, very far down towards the southeast. And again, I mean, the use of anchor positions, the whole 3-man pushing forward, leaving one back behind to play cover, very, very smart. But we thank you guys after this first game. Gonna take a brief one, and then we're gonna be back for match 5 in a few.
Welcome back to the main stage. We're joined by Hatsawat from Teraton 5. An incredibly good start to the day for sure. But you know, one thing I want to ask is about the emergency pickup. You've made such good use of it, and it really has been working for you, especially in Tego. So could you please talk us through the decision making of, you know, utilizing the emergency pickup?
ในแมตช์เทโก้นะคะก็คือน้องหัสวัฒน์คือใช้รถแล้วก็เล่นเกมได้ดีมากก็เลยเขาอยากจะรู้ว่าเหมือนกับมีกลยุทธ์อะไรในการตัดสินใจในการจะใช้รถคันนั้นนะคะ
แล้วก็ใช้รถไปฉีกไปในมุมที่เราได้เปรียบเฉยๆครับแต่เพราะเราเห็นว่ามันเล่นได้
he said like he used the emergency pickup because he want to find the best direction for take advantage above other teams
بنرحب فيكم اعزائي المشاهدين مع اللاعب هاتسوات من فريق التيراتون 5. حبينا نساله السؤال الاول بخصوص استخدامهم للامرجنسي بيك اب اللي هي طبعا الروتيشن مره ثانيه باستخدام الطياره، وحبينا نساله انه ايش القرارات اللي اتخذوها لاستخدام الامرجنسي بيك اب، وايش خلينا نقول ايش سلسله القرارات اللي اتخذوها عشان يوصلوا لاستخدامها عده مرات خصوصا في خريطه تيجو. رده كان انه حبوا يستخدموها اكثر من مره لانه اعطتهم الاولويه والافضليه انهم يعملوا روتيشن ويحاولوا ياخذوا الهاي جراوند فوق عده فرق ثانيه ويحطوا في أحسن مكان في أحسن موقف.
Hassan, I want to talk through your improvement in performance throughout the past few days of competition, because day 1 in the group stage, you got 20 points, and then day 3, which was your second day of the group stage, you managed to secure 37 points. Right now, your team is already on 39 points, and you're progressing through the day amazing, and you've also got 2 maps still to go. So I just want to know from your perspective, what do you attribute to your rise in performance?
ตั้งแต่วันแรกค่ะจนถึงวันนี้ก็คือคะแนนของน้องดีขึ้นเรื่อยๆจนตอนนี้มีคะแนนอยู่ประมาณ37คะแนนแล้วทางรายการค่ะก็เลยอยากจะทราบว่าน้องมีวิธีการที่จะอัพสกิลตัวเองยังไงให้คะแนนมันก้าวกระโดดขนาดนี้
ก็กลับบ้านกลับโรงแรมไปดูข้อพิพาทที่เราผ่านมาครับแล้วก็แก้ไขในวันต่อมาครับ
He said like yesterday after the match he hurried to get back to the hotel and then he find the weakness and then after that like they have a small meeting for solve the problem and then today they follow the plan so that's why the result is very good.
حبينا ناخذ رايه بخصوص الاداء اللي شفناه في اليوم الاول من مرحله المجموعات، قدروا يحصلوا على 20 نقطه، في اليوم الثاني من مرحله المجموعات اللي هو يعتبر اليوم الثالث من البطوله قدروا يحصلوا على 37 نقطه، لكن باللحظه هذه بعد 4 مباريات فقط قدروا يوصلوا ل 39 نقطه، فشو كان العامل الاساسي اللي ادى لتحسن الاداء من الفريق؟ رده كان ان هم لاحظوا الاخطاء اللي عملوها، رجعوا على الاوتيل وعملوا اجتماع على السريع وقدروا يشوفوا بالضبط ايش هي نقاط الضعف اللي كانت مبينه عندهم بالفريق، وحاولوا يركزوا على تصليح هاي المشاكل ويحاولوا يلاقوا الحلول باسرع وقت ممكن، وحاليا عنده 39 نقطه، لسه بعد عندهم كمان مباراتين لنشوف ايش حيقدروا يعملوا في باقي اليوم الاول من الوينرز براكت. بنشكركم اعزائي المشاهدين، بنشكرك طبعا على تواجدك معنا في المقابله، وبنشوفكم باذن الله في الاستوديو بعد ثواني بسيطه.
Well, that's what this competition is all about, adapting on the fly, and you guys are doing extremely well. Thank you so much for joining us in your post-match interview. Best of luck in the remainder of day 1 of the winners bracket, and with that we're going to go back to the desk to continue to close out the first day of the winners bracket. Don't go anywhere.
That's right, thank you, Barney. Yes, as we come off the back of this win as well by Sonics, looking fantastic here in the fields of Miramar. Joining me, Avenger, to talk about this one. Sonics has come out to play. They're looking great.
Yeah, 64 points in the last day of group stage, and then to kind of roll into that momentum here, looking extremely good. 12 kills and a win, 22 points for them in this one, and they played that perfectly, perfectly executed. Of course, staying super strong here towards the end, and of course, Shrimpsy on the top here with 5 kills and 700 damage.
What a man, what a man, what a waffle-filled man. He's got himself all the damage on the board as well as the kills coming on through. The man of the match brought to you by Kadia, and I mean, looking at how he's playing things out, this is a team that is absolutely on fire right now, and if you put a team in this kind of position, 22 points going their way as well, I think they're going to keep rolling with this, man. They're almost certainly going to the grand final with a performance like this.
100%. These guys are the kind of guys that will roll with this for sure. Like the momentum, the mindset, the morale that this is giving them, is just going to roll through. So I feel like already saying, like, congrats, Sonic, you're going to the grand final. Yeah, 42. I mean, we were talking about it. It's like the mid-60s, right? This is likely going to be the cutoff for the top 8. So one more decent game for them, and they're looking good. 42 for Sonics. 35, of course, still trailing quite well. 39 for them.
You'd have to absolutely whiff it to not go, but let's take a look on a little further down here, as of course you do have teams like FaZe, etc., and things like that. Some teams still not having the best of times. Again, Danoa, so many expectations and hopes. I mean, even some of these guys like Pero, etc., and Navi, not having the best of days to start things off.
I gotta say, my big surprise is a single-digit Danoa team in the bottom 9 points. That is huge surprise to me. There again, one of the teams who are coming into this tournament here, there has to be one of the favorites, but yeah. It's been a rough start for them here in the winners bracket.
Yeah, and you can check out Abdul Latif Jamil Motors as well over at toyota.com.sa/en/gamers to check out all of the cars that are going on here. We'll be checking with them later in the day, because we've got, of course, the ride of the day here by Abdul Latif Jamil. And of course, osnplus.com. You can check them out too with the code GAMERS8 for 50% off all of your home entertainment that's going on as well while this is going on. But there's tons of entertainment going on, because we have 2 more Miramars left here. This is kind of a strong indicator, because we get a lot of endings over this way here, Avenger. So to see all these teams like lock down these fields, lock down these compounds, it does become an important location oftentimes on Miramar.
Yeah, for sure. And also how land ratio works, of course. You have all of the East Los Leones that has this effect that will push away from water, of course. So you can see how most of the teams they're already setting up. Another big surprise to me is honestly Shen going down in an off position. Tai Lu had a pretty good spot, but he's just out in the fields trying to get some kills, and he got caught off-handed.
I love that Sonics wins this off the back of kind of trying to control some high ground on that west side and being able to transition constantly and strongly. But thank you very much, Avenger. Let's take a break now. When we return, we have 2 more Mirror Miles on the way, and then we'll be halfway done here with the winners bracket.
حتاكل لين تشبع وانت مستمتع وتلاقي الوجبة جاية على الأصول. واو يجيك العيش هش طالع من الأوفن والدجاج يقرمش just the way I love it. وتسوي كده وتسوي كده وتسوي كده مع الحشمة وانت بغراب خفيفة جيب تويستر. أنا جيب لي وجبة الزنجر بس كله يجيب اكسترا تشيز على الكرانشي تشيكن في السنتر. حطلب باكت حطلب زنجر حطلب مايتي حطلب تويستر. جيب له باكت جيب له زنجر جيب له الأصلي جيب له تويستر. Delicious. Yeah, yeah.
There is a place where you can elevate what's hidden inside, where you can reframe yourself. Sonomi means the new you. The you can step into. Because when we know who we really are, we become unstoppable. Enter new dimensions of you. Sonomi.
Honor 90. Capture ultra clear detail with a 200 megapixel camera. Care for your eyes with risk-free dimming display. Honor 90. Share your vibe.
Open your eyes.
When you look into my eyes,
Tonight, I'm gonna show you the wonders of the mall.
I need warriors.
Take everything, leave them with nothing. حتاكل انت تشبع وانت مستمتع وتلاقي الوجبه جايه على الاصول. واو يجيك العيش هش طالع من الاوفن والدجاج يقرمش just the way I love it. وتسوي كده وتسوي كده وتسوي كده مع الحشمه وانت بغراب خفيفه جيب تويستر. انا تجيب لي وجبه الزنجر بس كله يجيب اكسترا تشيز على الكرانشي تشيكن في السنتر. حطلب باكيت حطلب زنجر حطلب مايتي حطلب تويستر. جيب له باكيت جيب له زنجر جيب له الاصلي جيب له تويستر. delicious yeah.
There is a place where you can elevate what's hidden inside, where you can reframe yourself. Sonomi means the new you. The you can step into. Because when we know who we really are, we become unstoppable. Enter new dimensions of you. Sonomi.
All new Honor 90. Capture ultra clear detail with a 200 megapixel camera. Care for your eyes with risk-free dimming display. Honor 90. Share your vibe.
Here we are. Ain't no race if I don't win. 2 more games to find out who is going to be winning for the day. As I gotta say, this upper bracket been feeling really good. The games have been spicy. Circle's been unfriendly, the way I like it.
Also, I love that we haven't had any one super dominating teams. Now Sonic's off of that win here, pushed himself into first place, but it is still very, very close in the top between Sonics, Therodon 5, and FaZe Clan.
That is just a wild situation to be looking at, as Cerber's been doing great. Gen G also having a big come up inside that last game, so phenomenal to see them making their appearances. Just, let's be honest, first 3 games, not necessarily the best for the Korean region.
Not necessarily the best whatsoever, and Verdana in particular currently sat dead last. We all thought of them coming into this tournament as the contender for the trophy. Essentially a team that was bound to win this tournament at one point, but right now it's not looking too hot for them. Of course, still plenty of time to reset. The current cutoff for top 8 is set at 21 points, so let's see if they can make something happen.
We are moving into Miramar yet again, as that is going to be the rest of our day, which always makes me happy. I love Miramar games. We're going to have to kind of get a feel for it. Circle's going to be coming in just a bit, but the playing path is going to be far more comfortable coming in from the north.
Yeah.
West, just straight down and through.
Everything available.
Ending in Puerto again, though, so maybe we'll get my favorite circles again.
You might just. It's at least aiming that direction. We'll see. Last game pretty much gave us no commotion other than the circle itself, so I would be surprised to see any actual fights take place in the early game on this one. That being said, different playing paths allow for teams to go to new places. We might just see a bit of an overlap because of that.
We do also, I have to bring it up because it's just a me thing. There is a world where we do get Trailer Park in the circle too. And I don't know why. Trailer Park, Oasis, they're always just fun for me, but Oasis not so hard.
And if we're going to get Trailer Park, it has to be now because it's going to be removed real soon. So that Trailer Park endings will become Elkin Tower endings.
In America, I managed to get 1 Trailer Park game in. And yes, guys, I did grow up in a trailer park. Judge me, but I got to get back to my roots every once in a while.
You're the one that brought it up. I wasn't going to say anything.
Bro, I grew up redneck as can be.
Yeah, I can. I don't know where to go with that sentence. Well, we talked about hot drop potentials. We did see Luminosity and Falcons land side by side here in the previous games. Nothing really came off of it. But of course, again, different playing path can cause some issues. But seems to me like they've already kind of drawn the line in the city of who gets to go where.
Falcons did make it into the later stages of that game. It could be kind of interesting to keep an eye on them moving forward, as they're not doing so well in the overall leaderboard, but no surprise. I was kind of feeling this way the circle was going to go. Hey, remember FaZe and Gen G fighting over here a while ago? Well, we're going to get more of that. Early pickups, and it's Heyman getting a pistol, whereas Gustav's got himself a rifle to work with, and that's going to be far more efficient to start this off.
Well, we buff them 16, and there it comes. Shows up, and it's been put to use. 2 kills quickly, else can be as EJ and Heyman fall down. And Gen G, I mean,
it's good to see in the top 5 for a second.
I do not mind them dropping here. The only thing that's odd to me is that PO has all of Porto Paraíso. Deep.